Hello and welcome to episode 381 of the DCP Plus SideQuest podcast. This week we've got special guest EpicDan22.
Yay.
Oh,
Thanks for
who's on
coming
a now
again, Dan.
sugar-free diet, we've learned.
yeah.
Very
Besides
nice.
fruit, I gotta have my fruit though. But besides,
Gotta have.
Yeah,
Does-
sugar's fine.
Does fruit
Yeah.
count on a sugar-free diet? Like, you're allowed to eat fruit if you're like. I thought they meant like soda and candy bars.
if it does mean I can't have fruit, then I am.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
I
doing
think unless like I'm not a diabetes expert and such, but unless it's like that type of stuff, like people
Yeah.
I think say sugar-free diet, but they just mean like cutting out useless sugar, right?
Yeah,
Like processed sugar. I
like
would
the
assume.
processed stuff. Yeah,
And even then, nothing wrong with processed sugar. Just
but I need my
a
blueberries,
not
so
really.
gotta have them.
little.
Yeah, I
Your
can't go. I
blueberries?
need fruit. Fruit is so nice with keeping you hydrated too.
Yep.
It's
I
great.
never thought
fiber.
about the hydrational
delicious.
properties of fruit, but it
Watermelon.
makes sense
Fibers
now.
too.
Watermelon's one of them.
Watermelon's huge.
Yeah, I end up craving. I end up craving watermelon. I'm like, oh, maybe I'm.
Yep.
That's
Not
a
as
little
hydrated.
diet cheat secret if you're looking to do that. But watermelon, it's
Yep.
huge. Like you can have huge bowl. It's like hardly any calories and it's delicious.
Yep.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Huge.
I will
It's
take
like
advantage because it's
supposed to be
also
water.
delicious. It's like eating
Eat- I-
candy.
It is
Eat a
delicious.
bunch
Yep.
of watermelon. Just
Yeah.
start doing it, and I guarantee, like you'll probably just start losing weight because you'll be more full.
Yep.
You know, you won't even realize.
My wife
Delicious.
loves it when I'm eating watermelon and we're sitting on the couch watching TV and I start spitting the seeds at her. She loves that.
And you can do that. Shouldn't buy that seedless.
That is an option. You can do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do that. I'm just saying.
Hey, Dan, have you noticed that blueberries have gotten bigger?
Yes, and it's
What?
I went to the store a few days ago and got me another pack,
Uh-huh.
and it's a year ago, even 3 months ago. They were a lot smaller. I don't know what they put in them this year, but it's kind of scary.
They're like the size of my thumb now.
Yes.
They're huge. They used to
Huge.
be itty
Jesus.
bitty little guys.
Hmm.
Now they're
What's
big.
going on with that? That's suspect.
Mon-
It is very
Monsanto.
suspect. Yes,
They're putting
I'm
the
going to
hormones-
keep eating them, but they are suspect.
Blueberries are awesome. Raspberries, all of that
Mhm.
I would eat more. They're expensive though, honestly,
They are
compared to
very.
other fruit.
True, but fuck raspberries though. Am I right?
Well, no, raspberries are incredible.
All the berries, even blackberries, they're all.
Blackberries,
good.
raspberries, so good. I'm just on that banana train when it comes to fruit.
Bananas-
Fiber, delicious.
Perfect.
Bananas are
It
good.
comes with its own wrapper. It's filling. It's
Does,
got
yeah.
like a little sustenance to it.
Is you got a handle? If you like pull it down, you can just
Yeah.
hold it.
That's true. It's like a
Exactly.
no mess fruit. It's not like a fucking orange that gets your
Mhm.
hands all sticky.
Huge shelf life.
Yeah,
Good stuff.
yeah, and they taste different depending on how ripe they are. Like a
Sure.
Yeah.
greenish banana tastes totally different
Mm.
than like an almost brown banana.
You know what I do?
True.
I actually probably eat 360 bananas a year at least.
Wow.
Actually, I probably eat more like
Really?
400 because I eat at least one a day for breakfast.
Yeah,
But little
Mm.
pro tip for you: you got an oven, you got a broiler. Man, you put a hot, broil proof pan in there, and you just broil the banana with like a little light oil if you want,
That's a
and just
fancy
like a
banana.
tad of brown sugar. Which is why you're like, no, nuking your microwave, your oatmeal in the microwave, and you put that on there. Boom, broiled
Ooh.
bananas.
I'm gonna have to try that
Easy.
tomorrow.
It's delicious.
Mm.
It takes
you
just
make-
like a little extra time, but like if you like as soon as you get in the kitchen, I'm like making coffee and like so I'd sort
Yeah.
of do it all at once. I
Whoa.
have like a
Watts is shrinking.
routine. Watts, where's Watts going?
I haven't stood up today. I got
Do
to
you make
stand
the
up.
But anyway.
instant packet oatmeal, or do you make it from
No.
like the cylinder?
40 grams
Steel
of
cut
oatmeal.
oats.
Still
I know
cuts.
it's like the serving, one serving of standard oatmeal, and put it in the microwave for 3 minutes or so. While that's going, I'm making my coffee, and I got that pan in the oven. I'm broiling the brown sugar, so it's in there for a little bit, right? You get them broiling, and then at the end, as I'm sort of finishing it up, I just put on like a teaspoon of brown sugar.
That sounds
It just-
delicious.
It's just like a little, and it's nothing. It's like
You're putting me
Yeah.
on. I'm gonna try this.
that's
Yeah.
the thing, right? And on the sugar-free day, it's all good. It's like no calories for that. Anyway, making me hungry. Yeah.
Epic Dan, how you been? What have you been up to lately, man? It's been a long time.
It's been a little while. I feel like
A little bit.
what was the
You were on SideQuest last week.
yes, Cause I was trying to say, wasn't the last time I was drinking out of a shoe, wine out of a shoe?
Right.
But no, we also had the SideQuest one
Jay
as well.
Snipperton was on. I take it.
Yeah.
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 the
That
ra-
dude.
Okay, I'm
The
sorry to
worst.
interrupt again. I'm sorry to sidetrack. But you know what Jay has me doing now? He's
what?
got me eating fucking Peeps.
Oh,
But not
God.
regular Peeps, which are
Peeps.
disgusting enough. But
I'm-
like stale Peeps. Like you'll notice the package is open. That is so
Yeah.
the Peeps get stale because he claims that Peeps that are stale are the best Easter candy.
I do not
That's the
trust
first-
Jay's taste buds with anything. Really.
I'm be honest. That's
Right
the
on
first
the nose
sensible.
there.
I know about that, Jay.
I
don't trust
oddly
it.
first sensible thing that Jay said because I'm fine with Peeps. It's just like a sugar. I like that we go from sugar free to
But when they're
eat, like,
stale, I guess
packed
because they're a little
sugar.
crunchy on the outside or something after they're stale.
I think
Well,
that
not
sounds good as
crunchy.
long as
I need
then
to
you
hear
go
his
back.
logic because I can't see it.
He
I
is a
can't see the
candy
vision.
aficionado.
Or is he?
Wait though, yeah, wait. What makes him an
What?
aficionado? Like I've heard him talk about candy, but
Because he's tasted all the gross things.
I think
Is
that just means
so?
you like something, right?
no. That means you're an expert and
No.
knowledge. Yeah, here. Let's see.
Yeah?
A person who is very knowledgeable and enthusiastic about an activity, subject or past.
Okay.
Knowledgeable, very knowledgeable. That's the key.
And
We're questioning.
enthusiastic.
And enthusiasm.
Well-
He's definitely got the enthusiasm.
He's
He's
got
He's
got
got
that one
knowledge.
down.
I just
Yes.
don't know if it's knowledge that can help people or if it's more aimed to hurting people.
Yes. It's like, here's a list of all the grossest things you can eat.
He's
I'm
like
really
the
good
evil
at this.
genius of candy.
Okay, you make a good point. Like you could be very knowledgeable about all these things and be like way off and hurting people, and like actually, you still are an aficionado according to that.
Yeah.
All right, I take it back.
All right.
Yeah, you know what? One of the synonyms is maniac.
Maniac.
So, definitely.
He
Here it
is,
is.
he
There you
is an
go.
evil maniac.
Jace
Yes.
Sniperton,
The candy maniac.
Maniac. I like that. Please call him that next time you see him.
Yes.
Has he ever made y'all eat bean boozles?
Yes.
Yes.
The
Bloody
Okay, so at least I'm
bean.
not the
jelly
only one.
beans that
Okay.
taste
Ass
awful.
farts.
Yes.
Whatever that was.
Yes.
I feel like
He
every
made us
time I
do
play
that.
with Jay, we have to
Yes.
just have a pack
We
of
haven't
Bean
quite
Boozles.
forgiven him yet. It's
No.
a
That's,
soft spot in our
We'll
relationship.
never forgive him.
I've never felt like I was gonna just puke from a
Yeah,
flavored
gross.
candy.
Yep.
I'm a little queasy right now thinking about it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
What else, Real Dan? I mean, have you mostly been on Destiny? Are you able to play anything else?
No, I hadn't touched it since. Well, I hadn't touched it all year before Into Light, really. And I was.
Mm.
I
Wait,
spent
how many
all the
months of a break did you take? Just since January?
January, February, and a little bit of March. I came back a little bit, just started like getting my reps back in of like the knowing what all had changed, which wasn't much, but you know, I hadn't played really until maybe a week before Into the Light.
It's
About
weird, isn't
three.
it? Like, you know, we talk about how hard it is to get into the game as a new player or someone who hasn't played since like Forsaken or
Yeah.
did you feel like even just a few months, right? There's this weird like, God, like what?
I was playing a lot of games that were controller. And the biggest one for me for a while was I hadn't really played, besides maybe Suicide Squad, the Justice League game, pretty much every game I was, well, I guess Helldivers, but outside of that, I was mainly a controller player. It was really, really weird going back to a shooter and mouse and keyboard at the same time.
Yeah.
And that took a few days to just get the feel back. But outside of that, it wasn't too much besides that. But I spent a lot of time playing probably almost every game that came out.
Oh, really?
Nice.
What are
That
your
was
favorites
nice.
been so far this year?
Besides Final Fantasy 7.
Besides
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 7?
Because
Why does it have to be besides Final
Yeah.
Fantasy 7?
So that's my obvious answer.
Is
was
it?
Rebirth? Yeah.
I didn't know that though. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, I
That is
never played Remake. So I played Remake
really?
leading up to
Oh, I see.
Rebirth. And I played Crisis Core leading up to Rebirth. So I had a whole lot of Final Fantasy 7
Yeah.
in me going into Rebirth.
That's
And
like shock therapy for Final Fantasy.
But it was so nice because I could definitely tell if I hadn't played those two games, I would probably have not enjoyed it as much as I did. Just knowing the backstory of everything and the context really, really helped.
Okay.
So I played that all like for about a week and a half. I just played heavily those two. Well, that remake, then Crisis Core, then okay, I have like a day before Rebirth, and I was ready.
Is that the
Rebirth
order
was
you'd recommend
massive.
people play?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Would
I
you
don't
go
know
Rebirth like fresh? Like, would you recommend somebody just like jump into Rebirth, like having never played anything Final Fantasy VII related?
Nothing
No.
Final Fantasy VII? No.
You
I think
gotta
play
know,
remake.
right?
There was
Gotta
a
play
lot of
remake.
stuff that I was like, how would someone that didn't play the previous game know, or I guess understand the context? There was a lot of those stuff in Rebirth. And I remember getting asked, like, should I play this game? And I remember telling someone, I was like, have you played the original, the remake? And they're like, no. I was like, you should probably play remake first.
You probably should, especially as they had a deal on where you could basically pay like just the price of Rebirth and
you
get
got
remake
both.
and Rebirth. So
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And it's not that big an ask. Rebirth is what, 40 hours? Like,
it took me about 40-ish hours to basically 100%.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot shorter than Rebirth. A lot shorter.
Yeah, it's not too bad. What else have you been playing?
I think back at the beginning of the year, I got really heavy into Prince of Persia, that Prince of Persia game.
That
was
so
a good game.
And that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
Crown.
The Lost Crown. Yeah.
The Circle of Lost Crowns.
I was just about to do it, right?
Mm-hmm. And I was basically talking
apparently
about
it didn't sell
like,
very
it was
well.
good.
Like very
It did
disappointing
not.
sales from Ubisoft's perspective. Which sucks.
Yeah, which is
That game was
unfortunate because
really
it wasn't even, I think it was like a $40 game. So it was a pretty solid price for the amount of content you can get. And it's funny because I feel like a year ago I was talking really heavily about Hi-Fi Rush, and I kept comparing it to like, that's basically this year's Hi-Fi Rush is a less than AAA price game that gives you what you want in a full package without any patches, any like, a lot of the other issues you see with games. And I think it was really solid. But it probably won't sell well just because people don't like Metroidvanias. But that's the thing I heard the most.
It's definitely more of a niche. Yeah.
I heard that a lot. A lot of people were upset that it was Prince of Persia, but it wasn't like the 3D one that they expected.
Right. Yeah. That was a lot.
Yeah, those were, I think, rumored, insider reports. So I mean, it may be accurate, but I don't think we've gotten the official numbers out of Ubisoft yet. So I'm curious to see in their quarterlies or fiscals if they talk about that. But I mean, it wouldn't surprise me the like to your point, like people were talking about it, but I don't know if it was flying off shelves.
It's definitely worth playing, especially if you can get it on. I don't know if it's on like Game Pass. I know it was on like Ubisoft's passing, but
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Take a weekend and play it. I would have absolutely recommend it.
Honestly, like that game will make a great Switch 2 launch game.
Yep.
Seeing it get pushed out continually that way, and packaged in, hopefully, we'll get it out there more. Because I've heard nothing but like this game's amazing. It's on my list of I've missed it and I really got to play that, but I'm trying to stay focused.
Yeah, so those are like the main highlights so far for me this year. Played a couple other games, and I played Skull and Bones and Suicide Squad, and
Fran played those games.
I know he did.
Did, man. The people were curious.
Yep, so
doing the work like Dan, man. But he was like, for real, man. He really played all of Suicide Squad. I was like, he's the real deal.
I did. I enjoyed it for a little bit.
I enjoyed, I played it for, I think, 2 days, going through the campaign. I think when the campaign is there and you've got, a bunch of cutscenes happening and you've got a bunch of interaction with the characters, I enjoyed the characters.
Yep.
It's just everything else.
Everything else was, nah.
Yeah, I always recommend it. I was like, look, I enjoy Rocksteady's work and their world building and all that. So the thing I say, I think if you like those things, it's worth playing through, hearing the characters kind of talk while you're playing and learning a bit of the traversal for a while. I think that totally worthy. But as a live service game, I was just not interested
I feel
at
bad
all.
for him because I was really trying to give it the best showing I could, because in the live service part of the gaming industry, a lot of them don't make it out of like month one.
Yeah.
And it's really tough.
The whole
It
game
is very
felt
hard.
forced at gunpoint.
It did, yeah.
Just unfortunate, and you could feel. Like, I play lots of live service games,
Yep.
and they feel, more focused. Well, let me put it another way. They just they kind of came together better and felt like there was a little more heart behind it. But this one just felt torn, and I wasn't into the end game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah, like as a live service game, I would say I saw more potential with like Skull and Bones, because like it's a very niche. Like if you want to do this, you've kind of only got Sea
You
of
wanna
Thieves
be
in
a
this,
ship.
really.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to be a ship and put a flamethrower on it and grind that out and be a
What
cool
is
looking
the
ship.
ship version of a
sound good.
furry?
Ooh,
A
good
shipper?
question.
A shory.
A
Shory?
I like it, actually.
First thing that came to my mind. Go with it. A shory.
Ship to
That works.
shore. Here we come. What was that movie that came out recently where the people are just like chilling on the beach and this like big freight ship was just like beelining it straight to the beach they were on?
Oh,
Can't remember the name of that movie.
I haven't watched enough movies to know the answer.
It was a recent movie. I think it was like a straight to Netflix type of movie, so it might not
Oh.
be like a widely known movie. But you know it is widely known.
What?
No Rest for the Wicked. Watts, I know you've been talking about this
Yeah.
game for the last 2 weeks. 3 weeks? 2
Yep.
weeks? 3 weeks?
Like 2 months, I think, at this point.
This game is outrageous. It doesn't present like the game. It doesn't look like the game you're getting. I think
Yeah.
Didn't they call it like an action RPG, like an ARPG?
They do call it an ARPG, yeah.
And I guess you could call it that, but it's so much different than anything else like that. It blends so many types of gameplay, it's got that ARPG feel with kind of like the loots and like the drops and that kind of thing, but it's got that cool combat that is, I don't know, would you call that Dark Soulsy? I don't really know if I
it's
would or
definitely-
not.
I would say it's definitely Soulsy combat. I would say that like the closest thing is probably Neo, just
Okay.
because Neo had like combat based in Souls, but they also had the random loot drops and the crazy builds that you can put together, which is
Yeah.
what No Rest for the Wicked has.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's just like that good, weighty, heavy combat that just makes you feel cool when you pull off good moves and great when you parry. I don't know. It just feels great. But then it's also got this world building that, I mean, it looks like Diablo, except you can traverse this game like almost like one of the more recent Zelda games where you can just be crawling all over the place, jumping around. Like it's a really like a 3D world, and it's built with such care and detail. Sometimes I get mad when I hear, oh, it's got randomly, a game's got randomly like made levels, right? It's like there's some kind of randomness. Yeah. I'm like, well, that means that it's not going to be like, like intricately detailed with a designer's hand. This game is intricately detailed with a designer's hand, right? It's like the levels are so, like, you don't realize it when you first get into a level, right? You're kind of beelining it because it's got that Dark Souls mentality where I just got to make it to a checkpoint. So because if I die, I don't want to have to go all the way back. But as you start to explore, and the game does encourage you to go back and kind of like continue to explore an area that you may have cleared or beat the boss in. You just start finding so much by just like poking at the edges of the screen or climbing up pillars and jumping from like one pillar to a wall. And then like, oops, I fell off the wall, but I didn't die. I just fell in water. And now I'm in this like new expansive area that I didn't even know existed until I got here. And how do I get out of here? Because I can't really swim for longer than 20 seconds. Cause like, it's kind of like Zelda where swimming takes up your like
Stamina.
whatever, your
Yeah.
stamina. Man, it is just. I can't wait to see what this is going to be when it's
Yeah.
fully released, because there's definitely some
Yeah.
pain points. Like, they already fixed some of this stuff. Like, item durability on day one, it just sucked. It was terrible. It was like you go out and it's like, well, in this game you got to like forage for food and you got to cook it, right? So
Yeah.
you go out, and at the first, for you to go out and collect enough food to cook and then like make a boss run is probably going to take you a life or two, because you don't want to eat any of your food when you're trying to collect
Right.
food, right?
When you're totally out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've
So
had one moment like that where I was totally out of food and I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to heal at all. And if I die, I die.
right, and like that's how I approach these boss fights too. Is like I'll approach a boss. I'll be like, I'm just not going to use any healing items like for the first couple of fights while I'm like learning this fight, so that once I get used to it, maybe I get them to like 3/4 health down, then I'll start using the health items to make sure that I like get the job done. But then also your item durability was like, well, while you're out like looking for food, your sword is broken, your shield is broken, your pants have broken. and oh, by the way, it costs $7 million to fix all this stuff, and you have
It was
4.
rough early
Yeah,
on.
you have
yeah.
$4.
It was rough. And there definitely still some balancing needed to be done
Yeah.
with it now, because now it's almost you can just completely ignore it for the most part.
Yeah,
So
but they did make it very
needs to
cheap
be
now.
a middle ground of stuff. Because what I ended up doing is I ended up, because it was so terrible, especially I was using daggers, so I would use them and they would lose their durability really quick because they hit a lot. So I ended up buying the repair rune. Runes are like special abilities that you can use. So I bought the repair rune and put it just on a white weapon and would use that to just repair all of my stuff.
Oh, smart.
Which was working great once I got that. But now I don't really need to use that anymore either. And by the time I need to repair, like I've got plenty of money. So I think there's still a middle ground that they need to hit if
Yeah.
they're keeping this system. Because now it's just like, just ignore it. But yeah,
a lot of
it's
that stuff is like
better than that.
in the early game, it's like there's a lot more pain to it than once you
Yeah.
kind of get some momentum and you have a little bit of spending cash and your shit's a little nicer, you know. And it's got these like weird, like kind of like once like you kind of have junk until you hit like a level 11, and then there's like this whole, it's like all the cooler gear kind of unlocks at level 11. Like you'll collect it, but you won't be able to use it until you hit level 11. And then I think the same thing happens is at level 22, where like you just kind of suffer along until you kind of get like level up enough to get to a certain like, okay, you're good enough to now have this cooler gear, which is kind of weird.
On that note,
But-
I was wondering about the gear, and like I know that there's random gear and stuff like that, and you can put together builds, but specifically, like I watched my brother play, and he was complaining that purple like is way too much of a penalty. He felt like
Some of
he's
them
always
are
like
bad.
blue gear on, but he's played a ton. So I was like, is he just sort of chicken to use that, or is like purple gear need to be balanced? And then is there above purple gear? Like what's sort of the setup?
So the way that the loot works is it's very different to how a regular game would have it, where common is white and you just get rid of it. You don't do that in No Rest for the Wicked. Blue is slightly better, but in No Rest for the Wicked, blue is all positive effects, but it's less crazy of a positive effect. And then purple is cursed, which has really good positive effects, but it's going to have one negative effect.
And some of
So
the
it's
negative
actually
effects could be
considered
nasty.
cursed. All of it is cursed gear.
All
All of
purple
it is
stuff
cursed?
is cursed.
Purple,
All
yeah.
purple is cursed.
Is
Yeah,
what
I-
purple
Okay.
purple is cursed. Yeah.
But with that being said, like, so is there anything above it? And do you rock all purple? What's sort of the.
So I don't know if you'd never necessarily say that any of these are above or below it. It's
Oh,
all just a
really?
preference thing mostly.
So
Or
it's
they have
not-
different. So the other thing would be uniques, which are gold or yellow or orange, whatever you want to say it is. And those are just specifically curated weapons that the devs have made that don't come with random rolls or anything. They've got specific things that they use. So they can be better because like purple weapons and blue weapons, for example, can only have 2 runes, but the uniques can have 4 runes.
Interesting. So,
So-
like, obviously, our training is always thinking, just like Diablo or Destiny or whatever, you're like, oh yeah, purple's gonna get better, and like
Yeah.
overall, you would expect that to be the majority, but you're saying that's not necessarily what would
Well,
happen.
they are better
Not
Like you're
though.
not
necessarily.
grinding for like
They
a
can.
purple set.
Well, so I mean, you could grind for a purple set that has a negative that you don't really care about. So, for example, durability halved right now, or maybe just at this point of the game, even if they hadn't changed it at all, I do not care about the durability being halved. Doesn't matter at all. I can fix
Right.
it totally fine. So if I
'Cause you're
get
in it.
every single purple slot that has durability halved and I've got crazy positive effects, I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
just depends on what you can find. But also for another example, I'm using a white bow because bows come with 2 runes and already on the weapon. And currently they don't have a way to remove runes. They are going to be adding that, but currently there's no way to remove runes. And I wanted to add Plague Arrow, which essentially is like poison arrow rune ability. But in order to do that, that means that I can't make the bow blue or purple. Like I can't try and make a really good blue or purple bow because then I only have 2 rune slots. So I kept the bow white, which is the common, and added Plague Arrow to it. So now I'm running around with a white bow. That's what I choose to use. I've upgraded it. You also have 4 gem slots as well as 4 rune slots. So the white ones are really just the most customizable weapons that you can get.
Interesting. Sounds slightly untraditional if that's their intent.
Definitely.
Does the gear affect your look?
Yes.
And does purple not look better than blues and gray?
Well, you can
or
have a
whatever?
blue that looks the same as a purple.
Yeah, you can have
Just
like
It's just
transmog.
the
the same
random
item
roll.
in different
Yeah.
different tier classes. So like you'll have
It's
like
not transmog though.
There's no transmog, and they spoke on it. They said that they don't think they really want to do transmog because they want it to be where if someone's wearing this thing, they're like a heavy armor guy or they're a light armor guy. But also, I understand why they wouldn't do
That's fair.
transmog because you could just have like, because of the way that loot works with it being totally random, you can get any roll on any armor. So you don't really need to have transmog. So what you could end up doing is just get like your perfect roll and then you're like, cool, I'm just going to keep this forever and I'm going to transmog it with the look that I want instead of maybe being like, well, this is a look that I want and I'm going to farm for this to try and get it to also have the roll that I want. So I think it would shorten the loot grind.
that might be long term. The problem I have with this game though is that
Really?
this game wants you to grind a lot. Like a lot. Like they have these really intricate levels and they're really beautiful, but already it's like, okay, go back to that, shoreline that you started off and do this. Okay, now go back to that shoreline and fight these 2 guys. Okay, go back to that shoreline and find this thing. It's like it'll just keep sending you back to these places. Like maybe that's because at this point I've kind of like run out of new places to go. So it's like that's all there is in the game is like what I've already done, but like it really does want you to grind. Like even if you like, if you get stuck on a boss and you do use all your healing items, like, your choice is to go grind and get healing items. If you run into a situation like I got to the sewers, like a area, like I unlocked this area of the sewers and I found out right away that, oh, I am not really powerful enough to be here. Like I'm getting one shot by some of the enemies here and like I'm not good enough to handle that. So I had to just like walk around and grind. And with the way the system works is when you're in an area, nothing respawns. It's not like Dark Souls when you like light a fire, everything respawns. Like you kind of just gotta like wander around to find enemies to beat up. And sometimes like maybe it's because I just don't know where they're respawning or like at what point they
I
start
can
to
talk on
respawn.
that if you want.
Yeah, I would look to hear
So the way that the map works is there's fog of war, which means that you can't see, like it's a little bit dark on the map. And then when you progress, it gets rid of the fog of war. But the fog of war does come back. So when the fog of war comes back, that's when enemies can respawn or chests will respawn. But also another way that you can get more enemies is if you go and grab like the challenges or the bounty hunting. So if you get a bounty hunt to kill, I don't know, witches in a cave, if you go to the cave, there's going to be a bunch of witches in the cave. And then you can go turn in that bounty and then you can get another bounty to kill like messed up rats. And then you go to the area and there'll be a ton of rats for you to kill. So that's another way to kind of get enemies. And the bounties and the challenges reset every some of them
it's got like
every week, some of them every day.
Yeah, it's got like daily and weekly challenges like a live
Yeah.
service game does. Which
And another thing
I'm not
as
a huge
well
fan
is
of.
so when you go back to it's just a free way to get loot, pretty much. It's like you get a
Yeah.
recipe, you get some
You don't
money,
get
you get some
experience
loot.
from completing those, right? It's just loot.
You don't get experience from the bounty or the challenge itself, just of course
Just from
killing the
the
things
stuff.
you
Yeah.
would. But so currently the early access is Act 1. So it's literally just like the beginning of the game, the beginning
Yeah.
of the story. Here's the world, here's the characters, and then
Oh,
there's
the
like
story's so
few
killer.
bosses in the story. But there's the Crucible, and the Crucible is nuts, which is where you're going to be doing your end game. So the Crucible is like you go to this area, you use a consumable to gain access to kind of a dungeon. You go through a couple different levels of the dungeon that then ends in a boss fight. And that boss has uniques that you can drop, like armor, weapons, all that stuff. And that's just one of the Crucible runs. But if you actually look in the area, there's like I think there's like 6 or something spots where you use a consumable to go and do this run of like 7 arenas that then ends in a boss fight. So that is kind of what the end game is going to be. You're going to be going into these dungeons and you get a ton of loot, a ton of XP, and a ton of money in there. In the full game, I don't know when they'll give you access to that. I assume it wouldn't be after Act 1. Maybe it would be.
I don't
But
know.
currently,
Maybe you'll
because
unlock 'em
we
as you
only
go through
have
the acts or
Act 1.
something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the game's so killer right now. Like, I can't wait to see how it expands. They're going to add, is it 4-player co-op? And they're going to add PvP. 4-player co-op in this game could be real fun.
Yeah, I want to have a realm that's just co-op, where that's the realm where I invite people to come do co-op with me.
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be really good.
Yeah, this game just feels so original and it's so pretty to look at. Definitely for me, like I started off playing this on the couch, like, you know, sitting back and like, it wasn't that kind of game for me. I need to be like close to a screen, able to see like character movements so that I could like prepare to parry and all that stuff. It's definitely a lean forward game where, you know, like, it's, you know, it has that look of just a game that I can like lay back and kind of chill out with, but it's definitely an active brain game. It's very cool, very fun.
It's a really good game, and they're currently working on their next hotfix. They have 6 so far. They're working on the next one, which is a bigger one. They're going to be adding respecking. They're going to be adding resetting your runes. They're going to be adding the ability to try weapons before you dump points to be able to use them. Yeah, they're adding a ton of stuff all the time, and I can definitely see that this early access was the right choice for these guys because they're just like flourishing in early access. They're taking in all the feedback and like, all right, let's do that right now. And they're running polls on Twitter all the time and discussing back and forth on Reddit and in Discord with the community. And I can't wait to see what it's going to be like because currently I have like 70 hours in the game and this is just Act 1. So
that's awesome.
And there's more. I keep finding new weapons. I'm like, I've never seen that before. I've never seen that weapon. I've never seen that piece of armor. Just keeps going. It's really, really good. And if you buy it now, you get it for the price that it's at. You don't have to pay any more. It will be more expensive when it goes into 1.0, as is a lot of early access games do that. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it is. It's very cool. It's just
I'm
it feels so
excited.
fresh and original, and even though like a lot of the ideas are like pulled from other like types of video games, like putting them together in this way just feels really unique.
And they have specified that they're planning on developing this game for the next 5 to 10 years. So
Yeah.
people were asking about Ori 3, and they're like, well, first of all, we don't own Ori. Microsoft does.
That's a bummer.
A thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they don't own the IP. They don't, so they
Yeah.
can't even make it unless they make it with Microsoft. But they said that this is the game that they have dreamed of making since before they became game developers, and they were waiting for someone to make this game. So this is kind of their ultimate game that they're going to be working
like this
on
game.
forever.
I also really like Ori, and Ori 2, Ori the Will-O-Wisp kind of ended like, okay, I could see more of this. Like, definitely room to grow here, and the combat got so much better between Ori 1 and Ori 2 that I can't wait to see. And I just like Metroidvanias as well. So, and that was one of the best. no hate for No Rest for the Wicked. I just also really want more Ori.
Well, this is their ultimate game that we
Yeah.
should be getting content forever. And they're doing it really quickly. It makes sense. Like, smaller teams tend to be able to put out updates more often because you don't have to take it to this guy and then this guy and then this guy and then this guy for them to okay it. So they can kind of just move a lot faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else is going on, guys?
Well, do you want to talk about
What
booties?
about a little game called
I love talking about
Oh,
booties.
that
It's
was
one of my
right.
favorite things to talk about.
Fran's like, I do not like titties or ass, only Destiny.
Never
Only-
said that. I watch you play Stellar Blade.
He did. He was in chat.
I'm still
Fran
getting
was
all of it.
Fran was looking at his clock like, what are you doing? You looking for another can? You have time for that?
6:57, 5:57.
I've been playing Stellar Blade. It came out on Friday, so almost a week. And it's really good. It's really, really, really good. Currently, I'm like 55% through the game, according to PlayStation anyway. And I'd probably have it sitting at like an 8 out of 10 at the moment, but it could go. I wouldn't put it lower based on my experience. I don't think I could put it lower than that, but it could go higher based on how the final bosses are, final music, final story. But yeah, it's really good. It's just a very good character action game. And the developers behind it, Shift Up, they said that they were going through combat with an inspiration of like Bayonetta and Sekiro. And I'm like, yeah,
I can
that's
see
what the
that.
game is. That's what it is. It's like really, you can tell like they have a big emphasis on parrying. You don't have to. You can just dodge, and there's very powerful moves that you can do from dodging, but they do have the kind of stance system that a lot of parry-based games have, where when you whittle them down, you can do a big attack. So yeah, parrying is very powerful, but you've also got all the cool like combos and action character moves that you would expect from DMC or Bayonetta. The combat's great. Music's probably one of the best soundtracks I've heard in a game.
Really?
The soundtrack is incredible. It's really good. And they've got everything. They've got like heavy metal, K-pop, like chill near kind of music. Yeah, they've got a bit of everything in there, and it's all really good.
I was totally planning on picking this game up day one, but No Rest for the Wicked completely sidetracked my entire life.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense. That's how I felt with Remnant 2. I was going through the DLC and I'm like, I'm having fun. I love Remnant, but I want to go play No Rest for the Wicked. Yeah, so far story, I'm just reading everything, so I'm getting quite into the story.
Is
It's
it
a
good?
very sad world. So far,
Yeah, it
I
does
think
seem
it's good.
sad.
I think the problem is that I'm not gonna say that the English voice actors are bad, because I do not think they are. But it's kind of sounds like they were maybe recording out of context or something like that. Or maybe the translation work wasn't as good. Because there was a very good video that I watched on YouTube that was comparing the Japanese dub. This is a Korean game, but he lives in Japan, and the only way that you can play the Japanese version is if you have a Japanese account. They don't have Japanese as an option for you to
interesting.
select. Don't know why. Yeah,
That's weird.
I don't know why.
That
But he
seems
was
like a
comparing
simple
that.
bug, like fix they could make. If
Yeah, maybe.
Could be localization.
I was
too,
gonna say
stuff,
that's a
'cause, like,
localization thing.
yeah, like meaning
Well, I mean,
Japan handled the game, but Sony America, didn't have to touch it, so to speak, probably. In terms of that
Maybe.
piece of it, right? Maybe. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just guessing.
But going through, because he was comparing the English to the Japanese, and it's like, yeah, it's a big difference, because it almost seems like the way that they've translated the Korean to English is they've done it kind of literally, which when you're doing translation work, you can't just translate something like 1-to-1, because it just doesn't have the impact, or it doesn't really make as much sense as it should, or it just doesn't fit. And that's kind of how it feels sometimes, that they were just like, yeah, that's what this means. But they didn't like actually change it to fit the environment or what was currently going on.
I'm kind of mad at Japan right now anyway, so that's okay.
Why?
Shogun, the season finale or the end of
Because it's
Shogun,
over.
really
'Cause it's
upset
over.
me. Really sad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I just finished it the other day.
Like bad?
I
Didn't like
mean,
it?
look, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who's
Don't
watching it,
spoil it for
Yeah,
anybody.
don't.
but
Don't spoil it.
Look, I want more
Brian, no
Shogun, and I'm
tells
not going to get it.
Okay, I see.
Well, yeah, like we know that it was based, I guess, on a book, is what someone was telling me. Is that right?
Yeah. So write more
Yeah.
books, asshole. Hurry up.
Yeah.
What are we got, like a George R.R. Martin over here? Come on.
Basically. Yeah, I'm not really even familiar with. I guess
Yeah.
it's I Googled it anyway. It's a 1975 novel. Is that right?
Yeah, and there's
Yep.
previously was a miniseries. So yeah, mad at Japan. Even though like an American guy wrote it's about Japan, so by proxy.
Yeah, unfortunately, the author passed away in the 90s. Is that right?
Well, there you go.
According to Google.
What a
So,
loser.
It was a complete story. It was a complete story. But Cellblade's really good. And actually, Cellblade, so they have probably the best fishing minigame in any game I've seen.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to make the fishing game incredibly good, but it is. It's very good. But they also, so this kind of ties into Destiny. So they have collectibles in the game. They're cans. She wants to collect cans of like soda, stuff like that, coffee.
Sugar free, I hope. You know.
Oh,
look
definitely
out
not.
for Dan.
Definitely not sugar free.
Oh.
Some of them definitely have a lot of sugar.
pop.
Yeah. So she's collecting cans. And in order to get an outfit, one of the, I believe it's 32 outfits you can get on your first playthrough, 70 total if you go into New Game Plus, you need to collect all 49 cans. I normally do not do the thing of like collect all the things. But
Yeah.
because I can get an outfit, I'm like, I gotta collect all the cans.
Banjo and Kazooie would not approve of you.
Jinjo.
And that is a perfect example of like Destiny moving to put so many cosmetics in the Eververse store.
Yeah.
Of like, I would go to hell and back to get some of those armor sets or some of these shaders, the best shaders in the game that you have to buy usually.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I would.
That's
it's
dope.
Yes, all of it is
It-
in the game. You don't have to pay for any of it.
And honestly, it always amazes me, like, how well outfits and stuff seems to hit. Obviously, it's ended up in a lot of like microtransactions and stuff, which we don't
Yeah.
like. But it's just amazing in some games where you're like, why isn't there way more of this? Like, even sometimes it's just like a red version of the. You're like,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
come
Yeah.
this doesn't get the focus? You know, they're obviously busy doing other stuff, but it always surprises me. But I guess they're just so busy on other stuff, is my guess, that those people are like, look, like, unless this is like a huge part of it, we're just not going to do it.
Yeah,
They're missing out.
they are. Yeah, because people are going crazy for these cans.
Yep.
I was watching Glad, and he's like, "If you know that there's a can here, tell me there's a can. I have to get all the cans. I have to get all the outfits."
Backseat game, god damn it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have it
exactly.
pinned in my chat. I'm like, "No help, except if there's a suit or a
Yeah.
can that I might miss. Then
Help
you
me out
can
with
tell
the
me."
cans.
Help me with the cans. Very important.
Need the cans for my booty.
That's really good. If you like action games, I think you would like Stellarblade. Combat is absolutely incredible.
I've
I
heard nothing but good
I like the
things.
demo, so I'm looking forward to getting this. I don't know at this
Yeah.
point like where it's gonna fit into my like video game schedule
Yeah.
because you know
You got
with
Pigman. I mean,
that's right. That thing's just like sitting there
Get
waiting for me. I can't wait
busy
to
with.
yeah,
Yeah,
unwrap
it
that.
really is.
I think it's under mail
Unwrap.
at this
Hasn't
point
even
on my
cracked
kitchen
it
counter.
open. This guy.
It's still
dude.
on my kitchen counter.
Fake
Wow.
fan.
He didn't even move it to
Alright,
the
just-
office.
I never claimed to
Just
be a
say it.
fan at all.
I mean, you collect this stuff. Like, what do you collect it for?
That's a good
Money?
question, and one I'm
Yeah, I
not
don't-
really ready psychologically to delve into.
Oh boy.
What else we been playing? Anything good?
Fran's playing Horizon.
Oh,
Yeah, no,
Can we
I've
get
just
our
gone-
weekly
Are
Horizon
you
update?
actually playing
Zero Dawn?
Horizon?
Yeah, super hard into
Forbidden
Horizon.
West.
Forbidden
West. My bad. Yeah.
Forbidden West,
It's a
yeah.
good game.
Yeah, still before Burning Shores, which is the DLC. And it just, like, I don't play a lot of open world games, one, for time, but two, I just generally don't like doing everything in an open world. And sometimes it's like,
Sure.
it does have a lot of that going on, but I do find myself like playing a lot of this open world, and like I am really enjoying it. But I always tell people I love this franchise just because it is gorgeous. And the feel of the machine combat and like the weapons and stuff is just dope. It's
They're playing on
so-
PC too, right?
Yeah. It just
That is so
feels
nice on PC.
so good. It looks so good at all times. I'm like, I don't understand how people can even complain about this. Meaning, well, I like the first one. I mean, I get that there's little nuances of why people might like this, but I'm like,
That's
this
totally me.
franchise.
I
is
like the second one
totally-
more, but
Yeah, I do too because
I
of, like,
bounced off
all
the second one so hard.
So you played all through the DLC, I assume, Dan.
I
No,
did
I
not.
played.
No,
Oh, sorry, Dan. Yeah. You did not?
What?
no.
I mean, you
Well,
said
I
you
played
loved
it when it
What's
first.
going
I
on?
played when it first came out, and then my initial plan was to play the DLC when it came out on PC, and then it came out when I was
Just
playing
like
something else like a month ago.
Destiny. It's when you got back to Destiny, yeah.
It was about the same time, yeah. But it is. I have it, so sooner or later I
Dope,
will play
man.
it. Yeah.
Do you
I
have
wish
to
I could
finish the
transfer.
campaign to get into the DLC? Like on the PC, for instance? Like, would you have to play through the campaign again?
I think you have to play a little bit of the game.
As I
I'm
understand
not
it,
too
you
sure.
do. I
Yeah, I'm
actually
pretty sure
understand
you
you
have
have to play a pretty decent amount.
Yeah,
I
to get
think.
to it.
Is by any chance there a cross save between PC and PS5?
If it was cross save, I would have already played it because I kind of don't want to start fresh.
Right.
Yeah.
But I would have to. But if I start fresh, I would want to get the whole experience again. You know, because I don't do all the stuff like what I said. I on open worlds.
Yeah.
My biggest pet peeve is random collections of nothing. And open worlds do that a lot. And they also do the thing that I wish.
But you gotta collect all the shards.
Yeah, well, the one I'm thinking of that always reminds me of like where open world games really got it from was Assassin's Creed, which back then it was, I guess, fresh, but like in order to see parts of the map, you had to go to the top of this building and then do all this stuff. Then all of a sudden you unlock this part of the map. Then you unlock all these small little objectives,
Yeah.
And they do that with, I remember they do that with Horizon as well. And I was like, I'll do the map stuff so I can see what's on the map.
Yeah.
But all these little things, I don't really.
Breath of the Wild like took that concept and said, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
how about when you climb that tower, you can just see far? How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only ones I normally do are the ones for costumes. That's it.
Yeah.
So if I know a costume's at the end, I'll do it just to have a new look, and that's it.
Yeah.
But the rest of
Fashion
them
will get you.
Worst example of that tower thing is Rise of the Ronin. Is like you climb a
really?
tower and you get like 2 things on your map, and then you got to go to do those 2 things. You get like 4 more things on the map, and like it just like escalates like that. So it's like, it's like the worst version of that to me. Sorry.
I will say my biggest pet peeve of that this year was probably Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
Because it was very similar to that,
My
but like I would go
God.
to the top, unlock a little bit of the map, and then it'd be 1 meter away to do it again and again. And I was like, I'll
then
just
they
go
scoop it up
that.
in an annoying way. And I'm like, I would prefer to climb the tower in the exact same way every single time than making me have to go like all the way around here on a chocobo and like jump, fly in order to get to this tower. You're making it worse.
Why
Stop
do you
it.
hate chocobos so much?
I hate Goganzo, whatever it's called. I forgot. Goganga. Yeah, that place.
But on Horizon, Dan, I would say because you've already played, so you can focus. I would just say go to PC, start over. But like, it's nice because you actually can just do the main campaign stuff and not worry.
I'd probably
about,
just
like,
beeline the campaign to get to the
because
DLC.
like experiential stuff that you're talking about, you can always go do. Where like me, I'm playing the game in a way where I always like to like if I get something that pulls on my threads, right, then I kind of follow that because like that's how I enjoy these games. And I like to get lost in it. But like in other words, since you already kind of know where you want to go, you literally just I
probably wouldn't remember though, because I played it when it first came out. And if I'd have played it now, I would probably not remember most of it.
And that's what I mean. You got to get used to the combat again. It's totally worth just start over. It's not a big deal. And you'll find yourself probably like.
How far in are you? Have you gotten to Vegas?
Yeah.
That's the one part that I really want to play on PC because there's all that parts of Vegas that are like fantastically like, I don't know what they did, but I played it on PS5 and it looked really good for me. So I know it's got to look really good on PC.
The game just already looks good, but yeah, it definitely has updates on PC that are pretty from lighting to texture, etc. but being able to play it at higher resolutions, a higher frame rate in particular, it's just gorgeous. Like actually,
I really struggled playing it with a controller though, which you
Yeah, I don't
probably
play
have
it
had
on
issue.
controller.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
because
play on
I
mouse and
really
keyboard.
struggled at times with the combat because they had the little
Interesting.
haptic drawback of the
Oh,
bow.
Oh,
And there was
yeah,
some fights I kind of struggled on because I remember playing it on the hardest
Yeah.
difficulty, and there was a few fights that made me have to
Oh,
play
yeah.
really aggressive and like move around all the time, and it was fun, but aiming with a bow with a controller for me was rough.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because, like, yeah, I like the combat above all. I mean, I love the game as a whole, but they're very demanding fights. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I like. But yeah, if you play on hard difficulty, especially, it's brutal. You're getting one shot, two shot. I've had
So
to
I bet
kinda
it's probably
bounce
way better to play it on mouse and keyboard just because you have more
Oh, the
precise
precision,
aiming.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, if you know how to defeat an enemy and you, like, target the precision, that's
Mhm.
why I like this game so much. I waited, I did play it when it first came out, but the precision shots in particular, because I like to play with the bow, is dope. But just, like, everything feels so good in that. So, anyway,
Yeah.
super loving it. I can't wait to get to the DLC and let y'all know. I've heard from folks that it's a
I've heard
pretty
it's really good.
significantly, like, big visual jump. Like, people were
Really?
saying it's actually hitting their PCs harder. I was like, really? Because the game is already gorgeous, but
Just
it
the
could have been some
DLC?
yeah, it could be optimization stuff too. But people were saying the area is more demanding, and I was like, well, I can't wait to check it out. I've heard it's harder. Like, I'm digging it. But yeah, like, again, I don't usually play open world games this way, but I'll do a side quest. I'm like, all right, dialogue's not bad. Ooh, I get to pull this box off the roof. And, oh, okay, that's kind of fun. Oh, wait a second, I'm gonna go here. And then I get like a reward. I'm like, oh man, that's a die for this outfit. You get it like a die to change it. And I was like, you know what? That's a pretty good reward. I'm gonna go check that. And so I just feel like the flow and everything, it just really vibes with me. And that, I think above all, the team at Gorilla playing the game, it's just stunning how talented they are. We know, like Decima Engine now being used by Kojima, and like you've got Herman Hulst, who now is the head of PlayStation Studios, but I know, he used to run Gorilla. Anyway, they're so talented. As much as the game sells, it's surprising we don't talk about Gorilla in that way, is what I'm getting at.
True.
It's
They're
unfortunate. They
sick.
always like have a really good game that
Zelda,
comes out and it
Elden
just
Ring.
doesn't get like the respect it deserves, I
Oh,
feel.
yeah,
Because
that's a good
Guerrilla
point.
Games is like phenomenal.
Yeah. So that's why I'm always gonna gush over it on this show, apparently. So we'll see if it remains that way by the end.
Yeah.
I was reading the TWAB this week,
Yes.
and they were showing off the new maps, the new multiplayer maps.
They did. Yes.
Got a little
They have a whole
cartography.
map for 'em.
Yeah. They showed us the top-down map layout.
Back
this
in the
was
day
with
when paper still
Community
existed.
Cartographer. Relict, by the way. This wasn't Bungie. This was with Relict.
Oh,
I
really?
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they were making these. I remember this now. They were always making maps after they came out this way, and everybody was like, these are
Oh,
dope.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, right? On social,
Yeah.
like these really, I used to look, I feel like Trials maps from Relict, and
Yeah.
I follow them. That's what just struck me. But anyway, I didn't realize that. That's awesome.
I like when I could get an overhead map of a multiplayer map. It helps me understand the map so much faster. Like, and understand like where I'm going and like kind of like how to get to places faster. It's so helpful for me. It's back when we used to get like the official guide for multiplayer games like Halo games and stuff, I'd always buy them just so I could get an overhead view of the multiplayer maps. It just helped me tremendously in like that early kind of grokking sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because it orients you, right? It creates a north and a south almost, and and yeah, these maps by Relic are awesome. Yeah.
They are awesome. And they look cool. Like it's hard to say that how they'll play, in my opinion, until we actually get hands on. But they look cool.
A lot of time leading up to this, so I would hope that at least 2 out of 3 play really well.
Sirius Plaza is the one I want to play on the most. But I don't know if this is just because it reminds me of the old Halo map, which is probably why.
A lot of people have said that.
Yeah.
What do
I
you mean
didn't
by
pick
that?
up
Was
on
there
that
a
until you
map by
said it,
that
but yeah,
name,
totally.
or
There's a Halo map. I can't remember the name of it from Halo Reach. And Cirrus Plaza, that one picture, and I guess a lot of it that they show is almost, I don't want to say a carbon copy, but it's very similar to the multi-layered
Ivory Tower?
mall type of. I don't think it
Is
was
that it?
Ivory Tower.
Okay.
I had to look at the Reach maps, but there is a map that's.
Reflection.
I think
but
it's
anyway.
Reflection, but
Okay.
yeah, there's a map that's very similar to that, which was one of
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite maps way back on Halo Reach that I would
I
love
pulled
to
it
play.
up. It
Yeah.
could be Reflection.
So
Yeah, it's a good point. Like I hadn't really processed that piece of it yet, because I'm just like, okay, new maps. It's this one's Neomuna, which actually is a whole new city for us in the world of Destiny, right?
yeah,
But like the tall windows, and I'm like, actually, yeah, we don't really have much that looks like that, so it will be interesting.
Yeah, I like the look of Dissidents as well.
Yeah, the pyramid
Yeah.
ship.
Yeah. There's something about that,
Yeah.
like organic. I don't know what that is. It's got
the
like teeth.
terraforming.
Yeah, it's got pink
Yeah.
and blue and teeth.
Yeah, they're looking really nice from the screenshots, and I know that they already showed some footage of this. Obviously, you can check out some of these on their developer live stream. I think they did a month or so ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Did they play all the maps? They did. Yeah.
They showed all of them a little bit. I don't remember how much of it they showed.
Yeah,
A
they
decent
showed a pretty
amount.
good amount. But I think like most players, because it's PvP, and that's why we're like, we did it, because like you need to play it. You're just like, I'll just wait. May 7th.
Just gotta wait. Yeah.
Now we're there. But by the time you listen to this show, we're days away from
5,
from that.
4. It's tomorrow.
What?
Nothing.
Okay.
Are we jumping to Destiny stuff? Because we got stuff before the TWAP.
Yeah, what else you got?
Pantheon.
Okay.
Pantheon launched.
How is
That's
Dan, did
what
you
real-
play it? Because I
yeah.
haven't.
That's what real Dan has
You're
been
deep
doing.
in the booty right now, which is understandable.
Got the
Playing all
cans.
the Stellar Blade. Pantheon's not going in. Well, for a while, it's not going away. I've played a lot of it the last couple of days. Couple runs just with, really a lot of runs just with the community. It seems a lot of people. Seems a lot of people are struggling with this activity.
Oh, really? Yeah, I
A lot
hadn't
of
heard
people.
much about it. I just, had heard people who raid together all the time. They're like, yes, cool, can't wait for the harder difficulties. So,
Yeah, so like the first day I ran with just clanmates, and it wasn't that bad. Just learning it, but it seems the overall community is struggling, for lack of better wording. It's
And when
only
you
like this week is only like a -5. You're like 5 below, which doesn't seem to be that bad, but
right.
most of the community just at -5 are not even getting past the first boss, at least with LFG.
Oh.
But
That's what I was wondering. I was like, it's just tough to put a team together, and like I had a question about that for later. But okay, so it's 4
not
bosses,
so much
and you're
tough
like,
to put a team together.
it's just difficult.
Just difficult. Yeah.
Does it feel
Well, they made
like
some changes, right?
The changes that they made for pretty much all of them are just a couple extra enemies here, a couple tormentors here, a couple ogres there. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
It's not that bad. But anything that throws a wrench in what you're expecting is going to probably mess the people up. Especially like say you've done Ruin Nightmare say a dozen times and you kind of know what to expect. Then all of a sudden you get a tormentor and you get a bunch of extra small enemies. Then that's probably going to mess up a lot of people.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, to me, that sounds like more like contest mode style stuff. Like in other words, normally by the time you get out of when you're in regular normal raids, your power level is at the level of the raid or whatever. And then am I accurate in saying that some bosses are like 10 or 20 above you? Is that
Well,
like, do you know their level above? If you're 5
generally, you can
under,
go a bit above. Like, say it's 1810, you can go about, I think, 5 or 10 above them and still have a benefit as far as like damage output, damage input.
and that's what I was wondering, compared
Yeah.
to like, I can't remember the details of like where you're at in contest versus, again, in like normal mode, the last boss in a raid is like, I always feel like it's like 20 above you or something, but I might be totally off. But do you know in power terms, like you're 5? What I'm asking specifically is, are you 5 under the encounter rating, and therefore the enemies could be like 20, 25 above you, sort of thing? Or
I think the
sure.
way they have it set up, from what it feels, is that your baseline of the encounters are 1810. That's just what it is, no matter what. And when you're -5, it is treating you as if you're only 5 underneath.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which doesn't feel that much of a difference, but it also kind of feels like it's tweaked a little bit differently. But it also could be that they've just added a lot of additional enemies. Could be. I would have to. I've only ran it probably like, I say this, but I've only ran it probably like 40 times. So I probably need a bit more testing.
That's
to
it.
really, really dial it in.
It's like you hardly even done it.
Hardly. But the surges, they have surges in there, which helps. So you're not technically doing less damage, since you have a 25% damage buff, which kind of like overrides that.
So
But it doesn't really affect the damage you take.
Do you feel like because of that, you would recommend leaning into the surges, like for sure?
Oh,
when you're low out?
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're not leaning into the surges, which some people don't like, but if you're not leaning into the surges, it can become a struggle bus.
Mm.
Just
That
because
makes
how
sense.
quickly you can die. And everyone only has 6 revives anyway, so. But you do a lot of damage to the bosses, and it's not. You're unlike contests, and we've all been in like a contest environment.
Yeah.
Unlike contests, your main issue normally in contests is, of course, surviving, but also putting out the damage to get through the phases. Whereas with Pantheon, at least right now, you just got to live and get through damage. And damage is normally the easy part right now. So
I wonder if that'll be a
know if
problem
that'll
with
change over
LFG,
here.
is like getting people in there who can put enough
From what I've
DPS
been
down.
told, it's LFG is a
Must
wild,
have
wild west right now.
Gallahorn.
Yeah. And even then, like, I had a person tell me today that it took them like 3 hours to get through the first boss, and they went through 10 different teams.
Oh,
Jesus. Because people, as soon as it's not going well, people are like,
they just
I'm
leave.
out.
yeah.
Especially if they don't know you already. Yeah. Oh, this is a bad run. This is a bad team. I'm out of here. And then you do all that, and you still got 3 other bosses to go. So, I mean,
yeah.
I want to personally wait and see how next week goes. Because then
Which
next
is
week
gonna
it'll
be
be
more
negative
difficult.
10.
Yeah.
And because the biggest concern for me is they have they have that modifier called classy warfare, where when you do your class ability, you get a 10% damage buff, and that stacks up to 3 times. So like if one person does their dodge, another person does their rift, another person does their barricade, that's a 30% buff on top of that surge, which is huge.
And it says
But we don't know if it's going to stay.
Yeah.
It also reduces damage resistance. Yeah.
Does that piece stack too? Do you know?
It feels like it.
Feels like it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you try to like have everybody getting class ability stuff.
Yeah, so
going.
like I don't think I've said pop your class ability more than the last 48 hours. Just please, because you'll not die and you will do more damage. And
poor hunters, man.
Put on 6 coyote and dodge away is what I told them,
yeah.
You know,
dodge
please.
again. You're not dodging it up.
Keep dodging.
Keep dodging. So I mean, it's fun. I want to wait and see how it looks when you get to like 6 and 7 and 8 bosses.
Yeah.
At contest mode, that's gonna be interesting. Especially if the overall community is already struggling with -5 and 4, or -5 and 4 bosses.
Yeah, that was
Very
I was
interesting.
asking you when I popped in your stream and what I was getting at
Yeah.
tonight too. It's like
I don't
who's
think I want
this
you to
mode
go into an
for?
LG mode personally. I
Yeah,
will
it was
join you.
like
I don't want you going to that.
for people who've played these bosses, which I have, but not like tons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you know, if I get the overview but like, what's the setup to play this? It does feel like if you have a raid team, like sure, it might be fun for you, but that's got to be a very small amount of the community.
It's a small amount.
Yeah.
Because it's
Meanwhile,
weird.
folks.
Because if you know what
Yeah.
you're doing, if you know how to do like the raid bosses,
Mhm.
you should, for example, Golgoroth. Everyone knows Golgoroth. The only difference is one extra person in each pool has unstable light. So instead of one at each location, there's two.
I see. Okay.
That's it.
Still,
But
twice the amount of people that forget.
I've seen a lot of people just literally forget because they saw
Yeah.
somebody else
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
It's a very simple addition, but that wrench is huge. And, you know,
Yeah.
but then
Even
someone's
with
like, I've done this.
one, people
Yeah.
just get, they just get distracted and they're like, oh, like it's not, if you're not locked in and thinking about it, there's
Mm-hmm.
people kind of just forget about it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, all right, that's something I need to be looking out for.
Yeah, it's interesting to see in the design a mode that is very, very much for raid teams. You know, when you look at the overall population, that's got to be very small. And then, of course, like you're out there, Dan, EpicDan88, right, on Twitch.
88. Yeah.
Yep. Go check out EpicDan88 on Twitch if you want some help in the Pantheon. He's out there like help. Like I asked him, and he's like, "You should come in here." I'm like, "I already know that's the answer." I was like, "I know I should just have you help me. You put together the team while streaming on Twitch," and I'm like trying to apply that to like the real world of like what happens to somebody who like hasn't really raided since maybe last year, and it's
The
like,
real
"Oh, I wouldn't
world
mind going back." It's like,
should get their asses in EpicDan88 stream.
yeah. But that's what you got. It's for real. You know, I mean, it's what you got to do. It's out there. It's similar to Grenader Jake, probably carrying people in trials and so on. It's a weird part.
I
of
don't know if
Destiny.
someone who hasn't played in a while should come back and go right into Pantheon.
It
That's
doesn't
what I'm
seem
getting
like
at.
it, right? It kind of seems
No.
like it's better for you to just jump into a regular raid. Like you're not going to be able to, you're probably not going to be able to prep for all of these bosses because you'd have to do every single raid. But
what-
you could at least maybe get into one of the easier raids, perhaps, and just get used to raiding and communicating with a team before you do Pantheon.
And that alone is hard, but you know, with
Yeah,
Fireteam
that's
Finder,
hard
I think
too.
that's already.
Yeah.
So
I took a
what's-
guy through today, literally like 8 hours ago,
what day is it?
who was like, I haven't played since pretty much Leviathan, and this is
Ooh.
like my first
Long
raid.
time.
Granted, he
Wow.
was level, had some decent stuff, but
How many hours?
the overall run only took like an hour and a half. But luckily, everyone else that was in the run,
Everyone knew.
they kind of knew. So, but even then, I just had to take some time at each encounter and teach you the foundation of the encounter,
Right.
and then teach you the variables. You know, so like
Yeah.
it's
That's true. Yeah, that's a very good
it
point.
only
'Cause
went
as you
well
play
because we only had so
raids-
many.
Yeah, yeah. Because as you play raids, they like slowly introduce you to mechanics, right? And then they add on top of it. But whereas this is like, here you go,
Yeah.
figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that being
Yeah.
rough. That
But,
makes
like,
sense.
Yeah, I had a couple thoughts here. One was in Fireteam Finder, I still would love to see it develop because there's something there. But one thing that always comes up when I think of raids and stuff is like you having like an assigned role of a teacher that is saying I'm the teacher and I'm on mics or whatever, or I'm on chat or like it would be really interesting to. In other words, I would be way more likely to join a group that has like EpicDan there saying I am a certified teacher, so to speak.
Bona fide.
Wouldn't you be like, oh man, yeah, Sherpa,
Bona
exactly.
fide.
That's chat saying. That I don't know, it's pretty detailed, but
You
it
definitely,
feels like it
you definitely
needs
need that. Yeah,
because without it, like you were getting at, it's like you're gonna join in, cross your fingers. Pantheon sounds like definitely not gonna go well, but raids period, and then you're like, you know what? We did like 3 runs and people are all over the place. Nobody's talking. I'm out, and you kind of got to solve that problem.
Right.
But I do want to stress for 10 years, I've been saying, please let us match make and like, I will deal with the problems. So I'm happy, right? You have to iterate and deal with the problems to solve them. So I'm happy where we're at, even if it still exposes like, man, I'm generally down to do like these raid encounters, but like the thought of getting in, I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I don't know if I got the time. I don't know who's, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to bother you on stream is the short of that.
I literally said, please don't
Yeah.
go. I don't want
You-
you pulling all your hair out.
Please don't go
Yeah,
to
We will
LFG.
figure out our own team and do this
Yeah,
because
he's
it's
don't do that.
my
to yourself.
worry is that even though I've personally really enjoyed it, my worry is this Pantheon is going to push people away from raiding.
Oh,
And Pantheon is
Oh.
kind of meant to be it
Yeah.
seems it's meant to be a gateway for people to like at least get some experience in the fun parts of raiding, which are killing bosses,
Yeah.
and also earn some pretty solid rewards. But I don't personally know if it's like meant for me
Mhm.
as far as a hardcore in-game raid or whatever you want to call it, because there's no rewards for me. Because I already have all of the exotics, I have all of the red borders, I have all of the
Yeah, you don't
ascendant
need
shards
spoils
that
of
you get.
conquest.
I don't
is what
really
you're
need
saying.
spoils. All the stuff that like rewards wise doesn't really match up with the difficulty, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. Well, so I was wondering about that. So the quest reward that you get, I assume every week there's a different one. Yeah. So the weekly
Mhm.
quest reward is raid exotic selection. How does that work?
So when you finish it, if you have the quest, there's a little robot, our site. He's just going to be standing
All
there.
champ. Oh,
And
our site's at the end of the
He
raid
spawns
boss?
at the end of the raid.
Oh, that's neat.
He just
I actually
spawns
didn't
out of
know that.
nowhere.
I love
And
that,
you walk up
actually.
to him, and a small little screen pops up, and there's all these rewards. This week there is Touch of Malice and Eyes of Tomorrow, and then there
Yes.
is an exotic cipher and 5 ascendant shards, 3 or 5, 1 and 2.
So it's kind of themed after the bosses, it
Yeah.
sounds like.
And then each week they'll add some more or different ones. I'm not too sure, but when I did my first run, I got to the vendor and they were all grayed out. Because I couldn't buy anything because I already had everything.
Right, you had it.
And I was like,
Right.
oh, okay. So
Right.
Well,
I got to
that's-
do
yeah,
that
the
every week.
potential weekly reward, other than probably triumphs and maybe journey related stuff. For you, on the weekly quest at least, is like, eh. And you don't need spoils of conquest either, you're saying.
No.
So it's like
The only thing
But
I get to do is the little emblem, and I guess the
Right.
seal, but like the seal's
Right.
cool, but
Mhm. But you're pretty unique in that. You've done a ton of raids and helped a lot of people. So
yeah. I definitely think
I need Eyes of Tomorrow. So
if you need eyes, this is the perfect
do.
week, because you do the 4 bosses
yeah.
and then you just click buy and you got it. Just
Every
turn
time
your
they do
quest.
this, though, I probably won't happen this time because of this setup. But like normally when this happens, I'm like, fine, I'm gonna do it. Would love to play with you. Always a good time. Even though I got all these other games to play. But then it'll be Final Shape and like they'll launch it into the whole like archive. They're like, you could have just bought
Yeah.
it instead. Dang.
But then again, I
Interesting.
prefer to like the more they can move me away from sitting in the tower to purchase stuff, the better.
Yeah,
Definitely agree with that.
I agree
Yeah.
with that. I like that it's still out there.
My biggest pet peeve of Destiny now is how much time I have to spend not actually playing the game.
Mhm.
Yeah, I totally get that because when we started moving more towards like I noticed we were getting a lot of things in the UI, right? Lots of things
Mhm.
to claim to get stuff and
Yeah.
going through at the end of raid, like looking in your thing to purchase stuff. And I was like, I just feel like we're having a lot of this game now that isn't me in the game experiencing stuff. It's me being in the UI and getting
Yep.
stuff. And I kind of, even with like exotics now, like you get an exotic engram and then you're decrypting it and choosing what it ends up being instead of being like a random drop and you get excited about the random drop. Or with crafting, that's a whole menu thing too. So it's
Yep.
like, yeah, I also have
That's-
not loved that. Yeah, we have
It's funny
to
you
talk
mention that
about
because
Yeah,
it's
I
funny
know,
because they're
and talk
making that
about that.
change about drops
Yep.
versus engrams.
Yep.
I saw.
Do we want to just talk
Yeah.
about it now? Seeing
Yeah,
as we're
Yeah, we
talking about
finished
it.
on Pantheon. Is there anything else, Epic Dan?
Not real. I mean, the only it'll be interesting to see how week 8 week 4 goes when there's 8
Yeah.
bosses as contest mode.
Yeah.
If people want a rare steel or emblem, I hope they are happy with it. But as someone who's going to have to help people get it, I know people are not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
God
Yeah.
bless you, Epic
So
Dan.
it'll be a fun week leading up to Final Shape.
Doing God's work out there.
But I just want to wait and see, And if anyone needs help, please don't go to LFG. I will help you.
Go to Dan. Go to
Please.
Dan on Twitch.
Yeah.
I hear it's
EpicDan22.
hell over there, so.
For those actually who are like, actually, I'd really love to. What hours usually? How do you get in queue to get in an EpicDan run? How's it
Honestly,
work?
just come and hang out for a bit. I'll open up a raffle. Most of the runs so far have been about an hour and a half, with the occasion one being a little bit longer. So it's not too bad. Of course, this will change as weeks go on, but
And time wise, do you always
time
plan
wise, it's just
just
me
all
being
over?
on all over. Yep.
Okay. Set that live
I
notification.
guarantee if you come to the stream, I will either be live or about to go live or just
Yeah.
ended. One
Yeah,
or the
he
other.
streams quite a bit, so
Yeah.
exactly. It's if you're actually looking, or just set a live notification, you find it. EpicDan88 on Twitch.
22.
Then you can just press the quick button.
All right, talk to me about Engrams. What's going on here?
Okay. Well, so before we get to that, just a heads up for people who are wanting a new emblem. The new maps that are coming out on May 7th, they're going to launch into a playlist called New Territory, and this is just those maps in a 3v3
I love it when they do
playlist.
that. I hate when they
Yeah.
just mix the maps in with the old stuff and they like weight it low, so it's like it only comes up with like one out of every 170 millionth time you do it.
Yeah. But this is going to be in its own playlist. You are going to be able to find it in other playlists too, but if you just want to experience those maps, you can go in there. And that is going to come with a Slaycation emblem.
Nice.
So
I like the
that's what it's
name.
called. Yes. So as long as you play in that playlist at some point, like you will be able to get that emblem.
Yeah, it's nice. The emblem's like it's kind of like a blood red map cartography with like a little like I don't know if it's a PvP
Gunshots in it?
Crucible Shaxx bird. Oh yeah, it's kind of got gunshots through the map. It's pretty cool looking emblem actually.
It's a pretty cool emblem. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can get that.
Slaycation.
I just got to be in the playlist, right?
Yeah, you just got to be in just any time at any period. If you jump
Easy.
into for here, it says if you Slaycate New Territory will be available until the end of the season, at which point any player who engaged in the playlist will be awarded the emblem. So you just have to do it before June.
They don't even make it
Just do
sound
a
like you have
game.
to finish a match.
I mean,
They
I would
literally
finish
say
a
who
match.
engaged. It makes it sound like if you just hop in and
I would
like
finish
go
one.
teabag somebody and
Just in
Load in,
case.
emote, then go to
Don't
orbit.
do that. Don't play a match. Don't quit
Yeah,
on
just
your
play
teammates.
just play a match. And it's new maps, we have not had like
It's
this
been a
dump of a
while.
new map in a long time.
Oh yeah,
So-
yeah. I'm for what it's worth. I'm excited to try some new maps. As I went and played Banner last night because I was trying to get
Oh, did you?
a little bit of Banner action, a little bit of Pinnacle action for my journey for ranks and whatnot. I was like played way longer than I expected because you kind of like once you start, you're like, well, I should probably finish these steps. Anyway, I was
Yeah.
kind of like, man, I'm just tired of these maps, which is why I don't play this. But also, frankly, on the PvP side, the game, like I feel like I've had my fill of it, and so like I like
Yeah.
Destiny PvP. It's not like it's just I feel like I got my fill, and the way I always put it, I'm like I'd rather play Halo Infinite PvP. That's just more my style. It's not that I don't like, but anyway, my point here is to come in new maps and kind of feel hopefully like a freshness. The modes have been like kind of tightened up at least. We had hardware supremacy out there too and stuff. But anyway, I'm just excited to hopefully all one play with no old maps.
Nope.
That's
Yeah.
exciting at least on that. So I hope everybody does take the time to try that playlist out because we could use the feedback as a community. If you really want Destiny PvP, now's the time. Get out there and get talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, May 7th
All right.
is the time.
May 7th. Yep, next week. So they're doing some stuff with exotic engrams. And I'm just gonna read this to you. Just gonna read it. And then I want your thoughts on it. Okay. So the economy team has done something with Master Rahul. So starting in the final shape, Rahul is going to be the source for any new exotic armor that Bungie releases. When you first talk to Rahul after the final shape launch, he will introduce you to a new rewards program tied to his brand new reputation track. The idea is simple. The more you decode engrams with him, the more you increase your reputation with him. Once you completely fill the reputation track once and reset your rank, Rahul will allow you into an elite club, giving you access to a new tier of focusing. So once you become one of Rahul's, they call it Engram Insiders.
With an E.
They could have
With an
used
E.
hooligans. I don't know why they didn't use that.
Yeah.
Rahooligans.
Wow.
Rahooligans
Good
is
call.
really good. No, like that's better. That's better. So this is after you get to the max rank and reset, you'll be able to purchase any piece of exotic armor for any character on your account for 1 exotic engram and 1 exotic cipher. In addition to the previous focusing options. Because this is tied to Rahul's new reputation track, there is no weekly limit to using this tier of focusing as long as you still have exotic ciphers and engrams. You can keep rolling armor. With this change, we are also altering the way that old sources of exotic armor work. First, lost sectors will keep the same drop rates for exotics, but will instead drop engrams whenever they would have previously dropped gear. Neomuna will still drop exotic armor when completing a Vex Strike Force encounter, but we won't be adding any more new armor to that list after Season of the Wish. Now, they do say here, about how long will it take to get this new tier of focusing? Because obviously World's First is 3 days after the final shape, and maybe you want to get this. So they said that without going into the exact numbers, the actions that will give the most reputation will be Precision Decryption, a.k.a. Tier 2 Focusing, followed by Advanced Decryption, then opening an exotic engram, and last but also least, opening a prime engram. So if you want to be ready for the Witness's forces as soon as possible, make sure to stock up on exotic engrams and Ascendant shards before June 4th. As with a little more than a full stock of exotic engrams, you will be able to start focusing new armor. So if you fully stacked on exotic engrams, that plus a little more, we don't know how more, but a little more will be able to reset. So that is what's happening. Which is why when we were talking about being in the UI and stuff for getting drops, we're like, oh yeah, well, they're adding another way of doing that.
Yeah, like I like getting drops in the wild. It's always exciting, and we've talked about that a lot through the years. So I definitely think it's a big negative here. However, it can be kind of just confusing to be like, when is this armor? Where's the freaking lost sector? Like, how do we even get this piece of armor? That on that front, if you're chasing exotic armor, if I'm understanding this right, like, I mean, I think it's a good thing to kind of simplify and tear down and say, like, look, is that, am I understanding this right? You want exotic armor you're missing, you're gonna go to Rahul.
You have to go
becomes
to, and you have to spend an exotic cipher as well. It's not just an engram, it's also a cipher.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not that, I'm assuming it's not that you can't get some of this stuff still in the wild. Is that right? This is just like,
For all
stuff,
new
it
stuff
sounds
going
like
forward.
you won't be
All
able to
new
get it on the
stuff.
wild.
or will all come through here.
That's Rahul, it
Yes.
seems.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, it's a downside of, like, I do feel it's a negative. Like, oh, I didn't get this piece of armor. I finished this lost sector, whatever, this strike, I got an Engram. I got to carry it back to frickin' Rahul. Well, Guardian, great to see you again. But I do like that it's more simplified. What do you guys think?
I'll let you, I'll go last.
EpicDan, you're the guest. What are you
I
feeling?
feel like I already kind of said my piece on it, and it's just why do I have to have more time spent at the tower, just
Right.
sitting here? I understand, having a more, I guess, targeted way. It would have been better if they let it still be from like Neomuna. I enjoyed getting my exotic armor from Neomuna, at least because I was playing the game. and we had the whole like Vex Strike Force watch thing happening. Oh, Vex
Yeah.
Strike Force, let's go do it. And we were actually playing the game.
Yep.
So I understand it. I don't like that now. What I'm going to have to do for World's First is have every character with Prime Engrams maxed out and exotic Engrams. Because now that's what you got to do.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that I don't like.
that's my
Carrying
piece.
around more Engrams.
Let me
Mox,
play
what
the
do you think?
game. Don't let me sit in the UI.
That's why I hate gear management. Even though that would require sitting in the UI, but like, I want to like run the game is what I always talk about. Like you're saying, I gotta like look at my gear, and that's why my vault fills up. It's like
Yep.
another problem. But why don't you look at your
Um,
gear? Because I'm trying to play the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, Watts, what do you think of?
I don't like it at all.
You're not a
So,
Rahooligan?
as a very like lapsed player, looking at, maybe I want to come back to Final Shape and do the raid, I'm now staring down the barrel of a 3-day prep where I have to bounty prep, like even more so. It's more important than it has been in recent years, so I can unlock artifact levels to have the artifact for day one. Now I also have to prep exotic engrams, and I also have to prep potentially prime engrams on other characters. Like, it's so much pre-prep and not just playing the game that it makes it even harder for a lapsed player to come back and actually just enjoy playing. Like, I look at this and I'm like, I can't be bothered. I can't
Yeah.
be bothered. Or I just have to like wait until later to get the new armor because I don't want to engram prep.
Yeah.
Didn't they fix
And-
that Engram prepping thing like years ago? Is that back now? I didn't realize that.
You're
that's
probably
with the
thinking of
Rahul
the power
change.
level one
Yes, I am thinking of the power level one.
That
Okay.
they fixed.
that they
eons ago.
fix.
Yeah. And I felt for a long time like even having the post game screen, on a Nightfall or the Crucible and seeing people get weapon drops.
Mm.
I miss that.
I've missed that so much. That was always so exciting where you could play with your friends and they're looking for a Hawk Moon or whatever gun it is, and then you see at the end of the game it drops for them. You're like, oh my god! Or you can be like, screw you, dude. I've been wanting this for 2 years. I haven't got it yet. But that was so much excitement has been taken out of Destiny of getting drops that I don't even know where it exists anymore. Really.
Yeah.
Like maybe when you're doing dungeons and farming
Mhm.
armor or something, like, oh, I got a good drop
Yeah.
on the armor, and that's. But so much of the
Raid drops
excitement
and-
of loot drops has well, even raid drops are gone because you're just going to be crafting them.
Well, except I was thinking of the exotic, but yes, yeah.
Yeah.
The exotic's
Well,
the
and
one
then
that at least you immediately.
And then even that, which I'm glad that they added the triumphs to increase the drop rate. But even then, I'm still going through a checklist of like, I got to do a checklist before I can get the thing that I want. And I just, so much of the excitement of loot in this looter game has been completely stripped from Destiny that they've just taken away like huge amounts of a rush that you get of excitement and happiness. It just doesn't really exist in Destiny anymore. It's very, very rare. And this is doing it even more.
Yeah.
They
yeah,
also
it is
seem to
like-
be going for
big trade-off.
materials, if you notice. Like they're
Mm.
giving you a thing for your ciphers
Yeah.
and for your ascendant shards. And it just seems to be another thing that they are adding in for the sake of giving you a reason to spend your shards and your ciphers.
Well,
Yeah.
giving you a
No, I
reason to
making
totally
go
you
agree.
lose them.
and grind for hours to earn that stuff so you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I've
There's
been
also
sitting
a
on max for a
lockout.
long time. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
now I
you
have
know,
a reason technically to use them.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of touching on something that's like the subtle side of the
Mhm.
design of the grind, right? They're looking, most likely, the reality is they look at the things that keep people like engaged, which leads to purchases in the Eververse and or just keeping playlists full, etc. And like, I'm sure that factors in a lot here. They're like, well, look, somebody going on their own and deciding to go to a lost sector or feeling lost in that process versus like, we know when we add ranks to vendors, it just gets the whales, right, to grind. And I mean, I'm sure that's a factor, right? They're like, well, it's going to change it.
It's
and
clearly working. They've
drop speed
changed all
hard.
their vendors to have this progression system.
They do, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like I don't want to sound completely cynical. That's like not the only reason. Like, yeah, I think there's some benefits that Destiny's become so complicated. I'm like, just sometimes finding the lost sector of the day, right? It's still that way, right? Where you're
Yeah.
like, dude, I don't even want to look. I'm like, so yeah, simplifying some of that I like, but I am with Watts that we've for years now, like losing
I
more and
agree.
more of the like sudden, like, ah, I got it,
I
whatever.
got
I
yeah, I
haven't
got
had
the
that in such a
plan.
long time. I miss it.
Yeah, like just take Banner, right? I knew just frankly through community talk that I was grinding for the grenade launcher, right? The wave frame and wanting to get the new strand wave frame and I played for hours and sat on my engrams because like until you go back and then you also want to be sure that's how it drops, which is another side of it. But like anyway,
Yeah.
but nothing happens. Then finally, yes, I go to the slot machine. And then, therein is where you're like, oh my God. But like, imagine that happening when it actually happened at the end of the match an hour ago,
Yeah.
and it is a real shame that, like, why is it so yeah, I don't know why you kind of can't have a bit of both there. But anyway, do miss it.
A
Yeah,
bit
I
of
miss
I don't
it a
both
see
to
it
lot.
me
going over
sounds like the
well.
best possible solution because you still get
Yeah.
that like random like massive high when that Hawk Moon drops. But if that Hawk Moon just won't drop, it provides you a path to like kind of grind for it.
Yeah.
I
But
guess the question then is like, what is that? How long does it have to be before you just want it to drop? 'Cause I feel like that measuring stick is different for each person.
It
Like, say
does,
one
yeah.
person only after 5 runs is like, I need it now, and then one person like, I don't want that to happen until 100 in.
well, it depends on
Like,
the
what do you do?
activity and the drop. Like in like old school Destiny when stuff was just linked to kind of like randomly drop in after activities, like
Yeah,
the numbers got to be high, otherwise you'd have everything in like a day and a half. But if you're talking like raid stuff, then that number should be lower because of it costs you so much time and effort to go through each raid that you don't want a possibility of 1,000 raids to get the exotic. You know what I mean? Like that'd
yeah.
be
Right.
so it's got to really depend on the effort and time it takes to complete every activity and how many activities this drop can occur in, right? Like in Destiny 1, when the Hawkmoon could drop in just about any activity, the number being high is okay. Also because there's so many exotics that could drop. Like I don't know. It's like it was really exciting in that way, but it was also really frustrating because there was no like tried and true way to earn it. So I don't hate a system like this in addition to a random drop system after matches, but
Yeah.
alone it just creates a situation where I just feel like I'm doing my chores to get my rewards,
Yeah.
to get my
Yeah.
allowance. And
That's
I
what
mean,
it
again,
feels like.
it is just for exotic armor, and like I think that
in this case, but there's
it's
just
not
so
like
many
it's
other systems
removing
that are just like it that
right. Yeah,
that's
and I'm
what
not.
Destiny is to me now. It's just a series of like weekly chores that I got to do to maintain progress week to week.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely agree that the game could just use a lot of cleanup, and it's so complicated. But I would love, yeah, to just look at my exotic collection, say I want this item, and have it somehow right, like get to the point where like, okay, well, you should do these things, and yeah, it's got RNG with some downside protection. Sounds easier to say than I think it is the design, but for raid exotics, that's a little more obvious. Or I mean, I guess even legendaries, right? Like, imagine I could have just targeted the grenade launcher and said, like, look, this is what I'm playing Banner for right now. Let me know when I get it.
Yeah.
Like whatever and then like I just keep rolling that. But yeah, instead it's a bunch of engrams. And yeah, I mean, as a seasoned player, I know that people are gonna laugh at me, but I go back all the time in these situations and I'm like, do I use the engram here? Is it come from this? I'm always like hesitant of like, am I gonna waste this? Or should I use these to focus something else? And I get into this whole like complex, like I can't keep track of it all. So I mean, I think there's that side of it too for people, right? Like if you've heard about the grenade launcher, how do I just go and play for it and it's going to drop potentially and you're going to get excited. I think that if you put it on a piece of paper, I think there's something to design around there, right? That maybe you could still have both. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Totally.
Like, meaning, why do I want to play Banner? Only for that. So I don't care about all the rest. But anyway, no matter how many thousands of hours I've played, I swear I still end up in that situation all the time. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to screw this up. And I think that there's Destiny players out there who lapse and or even in a similar boat, you don't play 10, 20 hours a week, that you're like hesitant to get it wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's just it's another thing that I think it does make it less enticing to get back into Destiny if you're wanting to join for the final shape and do the campaign, go into the raid. And you're just removing more things of like excitement, everything dropping. Like even if I'm doing like the Vex Strike Force, for example, it's like Dan was saying, all of us were looking for this new exotic armor, and we're all tracking the Vex Strike Force. We're like, I have one on mine, come join on me. And I'm like, okay, like, oh, we got a chest, come join on me, because there was that other bounty that you could do where you'd open the chest and have a chance of getting stuff, and it was the community working together to play an activity to get this new stuff. And when it dropped, even though you know that I only have one thing that can drop for this because it's going to prioritize the thing I don't have, it's still so much more engaging than leveling up a vendor, turning in engrams, and then being like, oh, now I can focus the thing that I want. Great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't like it,
Agree.
Bunchy. I don't like it.
Yeah, we do need more of that surprise and delight. 100% agree.
Yeah.
It'll be nice.
It can't only happen at the vendors, and so yeah,
I'm not excited getting a new exotic armor piece from Rahul. I just won't be.
you
You can't make me get excited. No,
It
can't
was
make
like
me.
a 75.
So I'd be more excited if they had added it to Neomuna, because at least I'm playing the game. You know,
I'll bet you there's not going to be any montages of Twitch streamers screaming into their microphone when they get a exotic drop from.
That was a
Rahul.
whole YouTube video getting your
Yeah.
God roll sniper or God roll whatever. It was
Yep.
like, woo, I finally got it.
standing up, pushing your chair over. Great clip. Totally not staged. What?
It's just unfortunate. I don't know who they made the change for, and I don't think it was for me. So
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't think it was for me either.
Sounds like we're not going to be Engram Insiders.
Yep.
Rahooligans.
Well, you don't have a
We're no
choice if you want the new
Rahooligans.
exotics.
Dude, Rahooligans would make a great like rugby or soccer
Genius.
team.
Genius.
They should have went with
Somebody
that.
should
I'm gonna
do
get a
with,
t-shirt
like,
made
the
up.
Cryptarch logo. Yeah. Oh, it's like an Engram.
Right? The Bungie softball team
then
should be
something.
called the Rahooligans.
Yes.
I'll have to let them know.
Every team they have is called
Yeah.
the same. They're all the Rahooligans. It doesn't matter what you're playing.
Do you guys want to do some Twitter questions?
Yeah, was there anything else in the TWAB? I don't think so.
The shader.
That's a
revamp.
shader.
Oh yeah,
update.
there is a
Oh,
shader
what's going on there?
revamp.
I mean, the short of it is they're just adding like a diamond overlay over the shader to try to represent more what it looks like. And then at first
That would
glance,
be
I
helpful.
think the community's like, this looks crazy. Isn't that that's what I've seen? I think it's fine, and we just got to get used to it. But they
I
basically
think it's way
cover
better.
they cover the old shader, and then they basically turn it, and then in the middle, and then they put the colors and sort of look of how it probably will apply. There's like 6 potential applications or something they go through. But I'm fine with it. My issue is sorting your freaking shade. There's no sorting function. I'm like, I just want a green shader, dog.
That is
Like,
a good point.
how do I find it? I don't. My chat makes me wear that.
And there's
crap,
so
but-
many shaders to go through too.
So
You can
that's my
favorite them,
reaction.
but that's it. You
That's
know?
it. You got to find it first to favorite it.
Oh, I
So
forgot
I'll
about
tell you,
that.
I like this because I can see the different textures that it ends
Yes.
up taking, which you can't see right now. And it's
Okay.
also showing you the glow color. Like if you have armor that glows, it's showing you what color the glow is going to be.
That's
So
good.
this is definitely a lot better for just like looking at something and being like, okay, I need a shader that does this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I need to see this in action, and like when I click on one of these shaders, does it actually look like I expect it to on my character? Then I'm gonna like it. If it doesn't do that, then I'm gonna be indifferent. Just like
I'd say
It's-
do it more now because, like Fran said, they talk about how the shader look we have now doesn't show all of the possible colors.
Right.
And now it will show all the possible colors because everyone's probably applied a shader and then you're like, where'd this blue come from?
Yeah, you're completely
Yeah.
confused. Like,
You know.
what? How is this represented by this little square? What I just showed up.
So
on my
now
character?
you'll see all of the available colors and what it will glow and stuff. So at least you know you're adding something with blue on it now. So I do like that. But I would definitely need to see how it works in practice.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I'm with
I'm-
Watts. It does seem like a net positive, assuming it works.
Yeah, look, I'd say it's an improvement, and it looks kind of crazy at first glance, but I'm happy it's getting a touch up. Like, it's better than nothing. Yeah, take these W's when you get them, right? So I don't have any problem with it. That's for sure.
I love how
I
they
would
give
like
the
to
example of
sort.
the Gambit Jadestone shader icon current and then Gambit Jadestone shader icon updated, but they don't show it on a character. So I'm like, that just doesn't actually help me.
Got him. Take that, Destiny 2 team, community and marketing, Marcom team. Boom, Briar. Sort
Briar
you
out.
up. Here's a good point. Like, they were so close to like this, and now this change.
And here's how it
But
looks
we
on
don't
a
know what that
character.
results in. They gotta go in, open up. Got him. That was most of it, I think. But then like, there's a huge like dump from the Destiny PvP strike team.
Oh
which
God, right. There was that. Oh Lord Jesus.
It's huge. Talking about, and maybe that's something to save till after the maps are out. I don't know. They just sort of are
Yeah.
taking you through like a lot of their thinking, which people have complained about. Like, where are we at with the special crates, the meter system, the hardware supremacy mode? You know, it's a lot.
I don't like the crates. I don't like the crates, and I think a lot of people don't like the crates, and they seem to be doubling down on the crates.
There you go. Watts summed it up.
So yeah, that's
Watts out.
basically it. That's it. I was like, okay, so we're doing this again, where the PvP community is like, I don't like the crates, and they're like, so we're gonna do the crates. Like,
If
okay.
we give you enough crates, you'll like it. How about
yeah.
that?
What if we change where the crates are? What if there's crates every 2 minutes? But it just sounds like from looking at it, it kind of sounds like there's just gonna be more special or the same amount of special as before, but now you have the annoyance of having to go to a crate when I thought that the point was to have less special. But I was
Yeah.
personally someone who really liked the original checkmate system with the, building up your meter and getting special.
Yeah.
I liked it as it was right in the beginning. So everything that they've done since then, I've been less happy with it.
Yeah, so so what they do is they go through all of that. They agree with you, Watts, that like the crate system added friction and problems, but then they, despite it, had some benefits. Same with the meter system. So now they have this blended 1-1-1 system, effectively wanting to take little pieces of everything. So they want to introduce this sometime after the launch of Final Shape. So for all these tests, right, they are saying, we hear you. We've got data as well. And again, they dump a lot of that data here for you to look at. So changes are still coming. It's not like, we've not settled at all yet. And with the launch of the Final Shape, it won't be settled. So after that, sometimes a new blended 1-1-1 system is what they're mentioning.
Yeah, they call it the blended system.
Stick it in a blender. Problem solved. Will it blend?
Will it blend? Yeah.
Does that guy still do that channel? Is that still a thing?
I don't know. Yeah, was it a chat? It's funny. I remember the term. And
Yeah. All right, I'll move along to Twitter questions. Animalistic says, favorite junk food. Anybody got a favorite junk food? Dan, what's your favorite junk food?
Sour Patch Kids watermelon.
Oh, that is a
Whoa,
good choice. That is good.
Provocative.
that's a solid choice.
Goated.
That's a choice.
Choice.
This man's a candy maniac.
Yeah.
I'm a candy maniac.
One of my
I-
kids is a huge fan of that. The last time I had him, I felt like I got chemical burns on the roof of my mouth, but enjoyed it.
Sounds so good.
So good.
Yeah,
that.
if you suck them too hard, your mouth will get exfoliated.
Pro tips. Pro tips,
Somebody
Jeff.
please
Listen
clip
closely.
that.
Don't do it.
Oh man, favorite junk food was the question. Or was it
Junk
just
food,
candy?
yeah. Junk food.
Man, any like family size bag of spicy like potato chips or Cheetos. I couldn't choose.
I'm a
the
big fan of
flavor,
spicy Cheetos too.
but man, I can just plow through any spicy bag of like chips, basically.
Yeah. Those like
Salt and
what are those
vinegar.
like spiral Fritos that are like spicy? Those are good.
Yes, all the above. What's the taquitos one and all of that.
Those are good. Yeah.
Oof.
Does Taco Bell count?
Yeah,
Because
Yeah.
junk
Baja
food, dude.
Blast.
Baja
I
Blast,
do
yeah.
enjoy some Taco Bell from time to time, and it is most certainly not good for me.
Probably
But
true.
because it's not good for me, I go all in on, well, we got to get, the cinnamon sticks. We got to get the Baja Blast. Got to get it all. You might as well enjoy your
As
day
well.
of it being
Yeah.
bad for you.
Right?
Yeah, if you're gonna jump, you gotta jump.
Yeah. We're gonna dive in.
Exactly.
T says, "Hey, let's go, Dan. Hey."
Let's go.
Let's
Let's
go, Diane.
go.
Great use of your time.
Blandy McBlanderson says, "Who's the best ex-Disney star?" Man, I need like a full
Ex-Disney
list.
star.
Ex Disney star.
Yeah. I saw on
Mhm.
Apple News that Fran's girl, Britney Spears, not doing great right now. So,
What'd you say?
No?
Did you say Fran's girl?
yeah, I know you're a super fan.
What does that
so
even mean?
I'm just
Really?
acknowledging your fandom of
Okay,
Britney
I
Spears.
guess. I thought I said something about Britney Spears.
You said it so many times. You talk about her all the time, Fran.
Okay, let's go with that. Anyway, sorry. So what about her?
I heard she's not doing great. So shout out to
Oh.
Britney Spears.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out
Hope
indeed.
you getting it back
Hope
together.
there's better time. If that's
Yeah.
true, yeah.
I mean, who?
Go
Give me an
through-
example. Like I don't really have the Pantheon.
There's a lot.
Miley
There's
Cyrus.
a lot.
Yeah, Miley
Nice
Cyrus,
Cyrus.
is quite a success story. Shia LaBeouf.
He was a Disney star.
Yeah.
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 Is that how you
Even
say his
Stevens.
first name? Shaya?
I think it's Shy. Shy.
Shia.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'll
As
be
long as
honest,
nobody
I
else
have
knows either, I feel
Shia
more comfortable
LaBeouf.
now.
The
It's
booth.
gotta be. It must also be LaBeouf.
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 The
Some
booth.
Frenchies in here.
LaBeouf.
Le Beau. One of those.
LaBeouf.
I mean, JT, man. I gotta give it up for JT.
JT.
Probably
Speaking of Britney Spears,
JT.
but Justin
For the boomers
Timberlake,
among us, can you elaborate on who JT is?
it's gonna be May.
Oh,
Justin
okay.
Timberlake.
Yeah. Okay.
Could also go with Ryan Gosling because he was in the Mickey Mouse Club with
He was?
JT.
really?
I didn't know that. My God, the
Yep.
river runs deep.
Yep.
It is amazing.
He was singing just like Justin Timberlake was singing.
Well,
I
he's
think
got to be the
him-
best to me.
No,
He's
I
in
would
so
say
many good
JC,
movies.
the other guy. They had like a boy band in Disney. I remember
JC,
watching.
Jesus Christ, was in.
No,
was
no,
Disney?
no. JC, the I feel like I know too much about this. JC, from NSYNC with Justin Timberlake and Ryan Gosling had like a boy band in the Mickey Mouse Club
or something.
Yeah.
Wait, they had
Chaz's.
a pre-NSYNC boy band.
Yes, and
Oh,
Ryan
wow.
Gosling was in it.
Ryan Gosling was in a boy band.
Yes. I don't know if it
feel
was an
that checks
official
out.
boy
That's not
band.
that surprising.
But it was like a boy band underneath the Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, Zendaya is a big one.
Oh,
Yeah.
huge.
Name right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And she's
that's-
also
Probably now.
nice, unlike
Yeah.
She seems
a lot
dope.
of them.
Like a lot of them.
Wow. Well, now
They're
she's
just star
she's been new
makers,
number
dude.
one, I think, because I loved her in Dune so much.
Right
Just
after
getting
Britney
down.
Spears is where you'd rank her. Or?
I'm sorry.
Right
You're
after
always
Brit?
talking about Britney Spears. Am I wrong?
I mean, so throw it in there, man. Did not know Carrie Russell. Apparently, I was looking it up.
Carrie Russell.
Apparently, everyone's been in
Felicity.
Disney, so just pick your
Yeah,
favorite
Mission
celebrity.
Apparently
Everybody in
everybody is.
And it's funny because I was gonna caveat the question. I'm like, well, are you talking Marvel and Star Wars now, or like anyway? Everybody's Disney now.
OG,
Oh, yeah,
OG
you're right.
Disney.
Dude. Shogun.
Shogun
they own
is
Hulu
Disney.
now. Yeah.
Is
It's
Disney.
Yeah.
right? Everything's
True.
Disney, man. How are they
Wait.
not considered a monopoly? What happened?
That was on
They
FX.
definitely
Is
are.
FX Disney? Oh,
FX is
Everything
it's also
is
on
Disney.
Hulu.
Yeah,
Yep.
maybe it's.
It's
I mean,
also
I
on
don't know
Hulu.
who owns it, but it's on Hulu, which they
It is,
okay.
own Hulu.
And
now.
Hulu is owned by Disney.
Yes.
Yeah.
So why do I have to
there
have
you
a
go.
subscription to Disney and a Hulu then? What the fuck's up
You
with
don't.
that?
You can get a package subscription.
Oh,
Check into
Okay.
it. I combined the
This
two
is
after
this is
as well.
ridiculous. It's just
This
cable
week's
all over
episode
again.
is
What are we doing?
It
sponsored
is cable
by
now.
well,
Hulu.
It's-
okay. So I use pro tip: if you use Apple TV and you subscribe to everything through your Apple TV, if you go on your phone and you go to subscriptions on your phone, you can cancel these things through your phone, like month to month. And that's what I do. Is I just like, oh,
That's
Hulu's
nice.
got a couple of shows I want to watch. I'll
Yeah.
resubscribe to Hulu for a month, and then like they'll literally charge me like the $12 or whatever, and then I'll hit unsubscribe, and it'll automatically unsubscribe me. So I got it for a month without like getting the recurring bills. It's really
Smart,
easy
dude.
that way.
Nice.
Otherwise, you
use
got to go to
Apple
like
TV,
each
but
individual website.
You're better
to
than
do
a
it.
lot of people who set up these subscriptions and forget.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
honest. I like because you can just do Apple TV through your phone now, right?
Yes.
As opposed to having the device. But because of all like the UHD, best bit rate, 4K, I'm always like, if I'm not using a device, and then because of that, I'm like, well, I just use my TV and install the proper app.
Yes.
So,
But the
like, let's
Apple
take an
TV
example.
app
Can you get?
is now on TVs as well. You don't need the box anymore
Yep.
for
I don't-
for new TVs.
Yeah, that's also true. But again, I question the bit rate and the HDR. I mean, I'm sure it's.
yeah.
But like, take like Prime where Fallout is on. Is
Yes.
that part of Apple TV and you'd be fine?
No.
It's very
No. And what the
Ridiculous.
fuck is up with Prime sending me a message like, do you want to watch commercial free Prime? I'm like, yeah, that's how I like my Prime. Well, that's going to cost you an extra something dollars a month. I'm like,
It's extra money.
go
So the
and
The
That's
ad
crazy.
only plays at the very beginning, so I was like, I'm just gonna watch an ad at the beginning. That's whatever.
I was watching a movie and ads started playing like every 15 minutes during a movie. I was like,
On
No,
Prime?
thank you.
on Prime.
Oh.
Yeah. I was
Really?
Yeah, they don't.
I was more
Well, it's
upset
true
than you
that-
might think.
What you don't realize is that Prime, right, is mostly like for shipping goods and blah, and they have like features
Yeah.
like Twitch Prime but you never really have watched stuff is the thing, and then when you go to do it now, you realize that, I mean, that's all ads unless you upgrade to an actual like video upgrade, right?
Right. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
I thought
Prime,
that was all
the Prime
included
Video
in
service
Prime.
was included with
With
my
ads.
Amazon Prime service. And the
I think
Amazon Prime
some stuff
service
is
now
ad-free, right,
costs
but-
what, like $130 a month? Or, a year, sorry? Like
What?
that's been going
Jesus Lord, I was like,
$130 a month.
up.
Oh Lord.
I hope
That's
not.
what my
I was
cable
double
bill used to be.
Yeah,
I think my
yeah.
cable bill got up to like $250 a month at one point. It's insane.
If you have
Yeah,
every
internet
streaming
service.
service now, you're paying the same amount as you would as with cable. So
It's $140 a year,
Yeah.
yeah. But Prime Video membership is $9.99 a month, is what this says.
This is madness.
There's student
Yeah.
pricing. You can do a Prime shipping only plan, which is invitation only. This sounds like Xbox Game Pass all over again. Like, is EA included, and does Ubisoft Plus? Can't keep track. Can I
Yeah.
play
Man.
games on the cloud? What's the cloud?
Let's just
called
go off
for-
the grid. Let's just
For-
move out into the woods. Go full
What's Amazon
Unabomber out
cloud
there.
called? Not cloud services, but their gaming cloud. It's got a name.
Primes?
Yeah.
Oh,
Luna.
Luna.
Yeah.
That's right.
Crazy, right?
This is all
Anyway.
madness.
I'm sure it's got ads on it, Briar. That's what I'm getting at.
Basil says, what's an unpopular food opinion that you have? For me, it's the pineapple goes on pizza, and Briar is a friend, not food. That's right, Basil.
Yeah. Look at them getting your back.
I
Right?
also love pineapple on pizza.
Like to
It's
get your
delicious.
baby back.
wait, is the unpopular opinion that pineapple does go on pizza?
Yeah.
Yes.
'Cause I will always have my pineapple on pizza.
Dude,
Same.
welcome to the family.
I don't want the
Wait,
pizza if
wait.
there's no
welcome
pineapple.
to the
on
family.
it.
Don't
Wait.
tell me you're the odd man out, friend.
Wait. The way you say it is not committal. So I want to be clear. You said the way I like to have my pineapples on pizza. That's like a way of having.
No.
pineapple.
Oh, is
do
that
you
your
like your
preferred
pizza?
way
I,
of having
I like
pineapple?
pineapple no matter what.
How do you like your
But-
pizza, EpicDan? That's
With
what I'm asking.
pineapple.
You're gonna get an order. You can only order one.
General.
It's you and me, and we're just gonna get enough for us while we're raiding. We're on a LAN party here. You got to make the order. What's it gonna be?
Well, it's gonna have pineapple
Oh, no
Ooh.
shot. No way.
What
on
do you
my
mean,
side.
no way?
I'll make it half,
You're
I don't want the pizza if there's no pineapple on it.
and I'll have pineapple on it.
That is.
that's nuts. And you can't split a pineapple pizza because it gets all over the place.
What? It's not
So-
anchovies.
What?
How does
It
it get
does,
all
dude.
over? What? How? What do you?
Steamed fruit all over your pizza.
You
That's-
don't want it because you're afraid it's going to have the pineapple aura around
No, I'm just saying it's an aggressive.
It's got
half
pineapple
pizza move.
vibes, man.
it.
No, but I do want to be clear. I actually I'll eat pineapple pizza because, by the way, pizza is generally great. I complain about
Yeah.
pepperoni pizza.
There you go.
Everybody's ordering pepperoni every time. Always pepperoni. Like, dude,
Yeah.
there's so many pizzas.
There's so many
And
pizzas. I had a cheesesteak pizza the other day. Well, I had one
Yes.
slice of a cheesesteak
Sounds
pizza.
great.
It was
Yeah.
so damn good. I didn't order it. There's a new pizza place in my town, and every time you order a pizza, he gives you just a free slice of like whatever he wants to give you. And I got the cheesesteak pizza.
Look at that.
I was like, hell yeah, brother! You just
What
bought yourself a new customer.
But anyway, how did we get on this topic? Bad food
Pineapple
opinion? Well, we
pizza.
sure got
The
one.
question about pineapple. Pineapple.
My
Pineapple
pizza,
man.
generally
It's good.
sausage, like a spicy pepper, like jalapeno,
Yeah.
pepperoncini, whatever you can get on there. And then I like, actually, I like giardiniera if you're in Chicago, getting that.
Mm.
And then I like some extra sauce on the side. Anyway,
Unpopular food opinion that I have is that Philadelphia cheesesteaks suck. In
but you
Philly.
like it on pizza?
I'm saying that in Philadelphia, they make terrible cheesesteaks.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
They
That
just
is.
That's some Philly slander.
That is
it is.
spicy.
That's
It is.
rough.
Wow.
They use that
That's
cheese
like not
whiz.
like in buffalo wings, dude.
The meat's
In
not that
Buffalo.
good. The bread's not
Oof.
that good. It's a low tier steak sandwich. I'm here to say it. Listen, Philadelphia, get your shit together.
Dang, dude.
Up the quality here.
Intense.
Wow.
I don't think I have a bad food
I-
take, as you can tell.
Yeah. What else we got here? Cobalt says, "Hey DCP, what are you looking forward to most this summer? Anything on your summer bucket list?" Like Elden Ring DLC.
Elden Ring.
True.
Shadow of the Earth Tree.
True. That was very true. That's what I'm excited about.
They're
I'm
in
trying
my
to think of something.
schedule. That's really, I don't know of anything in the summer outside of that.
Yeah, I was trying to think
Well,
of
there was something that was coming out.
outside and-
Something was coming out after that, but they pushed it back. Was it? Oh, I think
the,
Final Fantasy 14.
Anatoria. Oh.
I
Final
something.
Fantasy 14 DLC is
I know something
happening.
was coming. Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, because I remember someone saying that they pushed it back because they know everyone was going to be playing Shadow of the Earth Tree.
Yeah, that's fair. I
It
really
is
wish that
actually-
wasn't during summer, to be honest with you. I wish that was a winter release.
Funny, because I took the question as like not gaming.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of something.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it
No,
is.
That's probably,
Probably.
what they meant.
Probably.
I'm
But I
looking
couldn't come
forward
up
to
with
buying
anything.
new golf clubs. I just went and I went to the local golf shop, and they got one of those like simulators set up, and you can hit like golf clubs
Yeah.
into it. And
Curtain.
I just pulled like a random 7-iron off the rack and started bombing it 185 yards. Now I hit my 7-iron, my current 7-iron, 160 yards. That's a 25-yard increase from a 7-iron. I'm like,
Mm.
oh, apparently golf clubs have gotten better in the 20 years since I bought golf clubs. So I'm going to go do that this year. Play some golf with some new golf clubs.
Very nice.
That'd be nice. I used to play
Nice.
golf a long time ago.
I've never played, but I've wanted to. It seems like such a daunting thing to get into.
It's not.
Yeah.
Nobody's
know
any good
why.
out there. Just go out and have fun.
Yeah,
It
like
is-
if you're willing
Well,
to.
you have to know about like all of the different kind of golf clubs and all
Nope.
that,
I
right?
don't.
Not
Nope.
really.
No.
Because like
Just
once
go
you
out
hit
there.
one, it's like, yeah, it's like the ones above it go farther, and you just
Yeah.
decide like, are you
And-
willing to use that other?
And you
one?
can't hit
It's
them anyway, so just swing whatever's in your hand.
Swing away.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not as daunting as I assumed.
No. I think the most daunting thing is that so many people become so obsessed with it that it becomes like an all-consuming,
Yeah,
just
like-
like
Well, I also hear
lifestyle.
like, yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
the thing.
a very addictive thing.
It is very addictive.
The only thing. Oh, sorry, bro.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the only true downside of golfing
Yeah.
is if you play on like a course where there's just people moving that are reasonable and good, and they're behind you. It for me, I'm like,
Oh, they have to
Whoa.
wait on you to get done.
pressure, dude. It's
Yeah.
too much pressure. They're up on the. I mean,
Oh.
so that's
Just
the only
pick
thing
up
I
your ball. Like if
genuinely
you
do
feel
not-
like there's pressuring you from behind, pick up your ball, walk up
Man,
further, and drop it. Look, if you're hitting 120 strokes in a round, like who gives a fuck what your score is? Just pick up your ball, have fun with your friends.
I mean, I would say yeah. Like if you're starting to go, you're gonna go past 5, basically 5 or 6 hits. Like,
Yeah.
you're right. Pick it
Pick it
up.
up.
Just throw it on the green
yeah,
and take a putt.
yeah. Take a couple
Like for
putts,
real.
drink a
Yeah.
beer.
Yeah.
I
This is
had
true.
Beer, get drunk, high
Yeah.
five some people.
dude.
I will-
Here's what
yeah,
you should need to
walking
practice.
That's what it looks
the
like.
course.
What you need to practice is getting out of the golf cart, chugging your beer, tossing it in the garbage, and then ripping a driver down the fairway. That needs to be the golf aesthetic that you aspire to.
And if I'm hearing this right, for the golf uninitiated, what Briar's getting at is you're moving on, and there's only a garbage can right by the hole right there. So you kind of got to chug your beer. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean the garbage can's right there, so you don't want to.
Like,
You don't
why
want to
else
litter,
are you chugging?
Fran. Are you accusing me of
Well, that's what
littering?
I'm saying. Like, why else would you chug the beer? Like, I mean, what's the
Yeah,
kind of?
it's just sensible, It's looking
I
out
told
for the
you about this
For fun.
for disc golf, but you could do it in regular golf too.
Oh
Just
yeah,
be,
disc
you know.
golf equally as fun.
Yeah,
Also,
but-
equally as difficult.
But the 49,
What's
remember the
disc
49,
golf?
Briar?
It's like with a frisbee.
Briar, do you remember the 49 I told you about?
No, help me out with the 49.
You carry a 40 with you,
Mhm.
and you challenge base. So like you and your friend come up with challenge. You got a 40, but just
Yeah.
play a 9er.
I love it. I'm doing that on Monday.
There it is. Play the 49. Let me know how it goes. Get a Mickey's.
Yeah, I'm definitely
Oof.
doing it. I'm showing up. I got a
You
new golf bag that's got a cooler in it.
My summer bucket list is apparently playing some hitting the links with Briar.
Oh, I would love that.
That'd be great.
That would make a great video, honestly. Toby says, when are more episodes coming on Spotify? The last one is from 412. Love the show. I'm not gonna lie to
Yeah.
you. Watts texted me, was that 2 days ago, and said, yo, what happened to Spotify?
Yeah.
Yeah, why is
People
that
were
open?
like, there's nothing on Spotify. What's
Yeah.
happening? I'm like, oh, this has happened before.
Yes, this has happened before. Sadly, it's not a super easy fix. We are working on it. I promise you. If you do listen primarily on Spotify, there are any podcast app. Look us up, DCP. We usually were the first thing that pops up. We are working on the Spotify thing. I'm sorry. This is like Spotify just like loses us
Right.
occasionally.
They can't hear you. It's not on Spotify. So
But some people
who are
like
you
watch the
talking
show
to?
in
I'm totally
Spotify.
messing with you. You're,
Tell your
they
friend.
can't hear you.
Tell your friend who listens on Spotify.
Yeah. It's a
Oh.
good point. Yeah, I mean, it might be. I mean, I don't know what the fix is. Maybe you should tweet about it though.
Yeah, we could tweet about it. I'll keep
Anyway.
talking about it on stream. I'm sure people will
Yeah.
be like, what's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah,
What happened?
we're working on it. I'm sorry. It's not our fault this time. Usually I fess right up when it is. Eng says, what games are you waiting for sequels for? Personally, I'm waiting for a sequel to Infamous Second Son. Oh,
It's a good choice.
I don't
But
know.
I'm waiting on Ghost Tsushima sequel. So
Yes,
they're
that
all
would be a
busy.
good one.
Yeah.
They ain't
That's
gonna be
definitely
working on
up
that.
there for me. I'd love them to do Neo 3, you know, instead of other things.
that's
I
a
think
good
it's
game.
time to get a Neo 3 coming, I think.
Dude, I would love a Metroid Dread 2. Like, I really enjoyed Metroid Dread.
I bet you I wouldn't be surprised if they were working on that. I forgot that team has said what they're doing.
Ghost of Tsushima's my one that's most up there, though, for sure.
That was
I
really
mean,
good.
it's funny that it's announced, but like we just don't know, and who knows with Nintendo. But Metroid Prime 4, like man, Retro Studios, like come on.
Yeah, that's been
Dying
announced
for
for
it.
a long time, though.
Yeah, they did that logo reveal, which at the time I was like, heck yeah. But obviously things kind of shifted around and changed. It's been
it got moved to a
So long.
different studio, right?
No, it's still retro.
Is
What
it?
happened is you're remembering the opposite, which was, well, no, you're right. Oh yeah, wait, you are right. It was with Namco Bandai as I believe like a follow up to. Remember they did Metroid, the one that was kind of a weird. It was side scroller, kind of like
Oh yes.
it.
What was
It was
that?
all right. But anyway, I can't believe I forgot the name of it, by the way. But yeah, very briefly were reported to be working on. Then Retro Studios took it over, but it's still been a lifetime. So, Other M. Thank you.
Other M.
Weird
yeah.
name. How am I supposed to remember that name? The other one. That's how I
And I know we're getting DLC for Elden Ring, but I really am
Yeah.
looking forward to the sequel for that because I can't wait to see what they think they should iterate on. You know, like what
You think they're gonna do a
what
sequel?
are they gonna take away from like the release of that game and like do with it? You know,
My worry is
yeah.
that they're not gonna make a DLC, make a sequel. That's my worry.
really?
I think they will.
I think they
it's
should.
So good. It's so rich.
Yeah.
And like if you want to go really big, like they sitting on like what, 20 million sales. It's just like Dark Souls. You don't walk away from it that quick.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if they don't do Elden Ring for a while and instead
Yeah.
go back to like the more, curated non-open world experiences. And then they're like, okay, let's do another, open world kind of game.
I actually think
Bloodborne comes to mind as well. Bloodborne 2 would be.
I mean,
Bloodborne. I know.
I've given up.
Yeah.
I don't
keep
believe it
wondering
anymore.
about like how does
Yeah.
that work with? We know there's got to be a remake like out there somewhere.
Dude.
But
There's
will
got to
there
be a
ever
dump
Bloodborne
truck
2?
full
I
of
don't
money out there, like with FromSoft's name on
Yeah,
it. coming
we'll
from
get
Sony.
the
Like, come
Bloodborne
on.
remake. I'm confident of that. I'm also confident. I actually believe they've moved into, light production on Elden Ring 2. I would be surprised. Probably won't be called 2. It'll be some weird name, or maybe. But I would
Elden
love if in the
Rings?
meantime to Watts, yeah, the Great Square. To Watt's point, I think in the meantime maybe we get like another Sekiro would be awesome, and
That's
obviously
another.
everybody would
Sekiro
love.
2 would be
I
great.
wish they do that. Yep.
Because it didn't even get DLC.
Exactly.
I would
we
love
got
more
Armored
Sekiro.
Core, so they've got. I mean, from
They've
software,
not done
just-
any sequels for any of their games except for Dark Souls, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That's the
You're right.
only
or
one.
Armored Core.
There
And
was not a
Armored Core.
Kingsfield 2? There was not a.
Kingsfield. They make.
I don't know if that was a Kingsfield
I
2.
don't know what that is.
I don't know.
That's the only
yet.
reason I
No.
mentioned it because
Now
it
it
seems
sounds
that
weird in my
outside
head.
of Dark Souls, they don't want to
Oh
do
my God,
sequels.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
They
was-
just want to
Yeah,
make a
they-
new one.
They don't have a whole lot of sequels going on, yeah.
Devarian says, so far, what's your favorite raid encounter in Pantheon? Dan.
Perfect.
Damn.
I'll answer for all of us. It's got to
Thank
be
you.
Explicator. But I think that's my favorite out of the 4 right now.
Why is that?
Oh,
that-
interesting.
Well, it's the best one of the 4, and it's the only one. It's the only one right now that feels like a pretty good, has a really good engagement rate from every single player. It seems that they doubled the amount of enemies, and if they didn't double the actual amount of enemies, they doubled the spawn rate of them. So every person seems to have a whole lot more they can do, and everyone has a job, so everyone can feel like they are actually participating.
That's good.
And it has a pretty engaging and tight window for damage. Not the damage itself, but if you miss damage, you miss damage. But if you damage, you can do a lot of damage. So it's got to be Explicator. But that will change when Riven comes around and when Nezarec comes around. And then when Rogue. But as of right now.
Hey, Blaze says, what would Destiny 2 X Stellar Blade crossover look like? Dude, so many butts. So
It would
many
never
butts.
happen.
That'd be hot.
That'd be nice. Get some
Just
Some
some
great
cheap,
looking
cheeks.
armor.
Yeah.
just cans
Swords.
everywhere.
Cans.
That's true. I guess you could have the sword. That's what we'd get. We'd get the sword.
Last question of the night. Hugaroon says, when I was 15, I had 2 weeks work experience placement on an RAF base fixing fighter jets, replacing engines, radar, and missile targeting systems. What was your first/best job?
First best job.
I mean, my
First
first
and
job was
best?
definitely not my best. When I was like 13 years old, I was working at a dog kennel, like cleaning the kennels.
Mm.
Not the best job.
The less part of fun of puppies, but Freudian slip there apparently. The best part of puppies. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I more was thinking about first jobs and trying to remember if it was like, I guess first legitimate job was, yeah, assembling newspaper sections, which I've talked about on the show before. But it was not good. It sucked.
I got a question. Who lets a 15-year-old fix fighter jets? And like not like simple stuff like replacing engines, radar, and
The
missile
Air Force.
targeting systems. What is going
point.
on in the
Maybe
RAF?
their parent was also
This was
working
the
there.
downfall of Boeing right here. That's where it
Yeah.
started.
That's why those doors were coming up.
Did you guys see a second whistleblower has died?
I did.
Yeah.
It's concerning.
Yep.
Concerning.
No.
That's why
Yeah.
there's now
You might wanna
websites
check
that are
your-
like,
Check your attitude about Boeing right now.
well, that's why people have created websites of, is my flight on a Boeing? So you can
Mhm.
check, and then you can like check before you book it and choose not to go if it's Boeing.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
I'll drive. Take the train.
Wow. Person died at 45?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Died. Yeah.
It is concerning.
Died.
Died
Yeah.
at 45.
Natural causes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suffocated.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Had a heart attack while free falling from 30,000 feet. Natural causes, though, you know. Gotta stay away from that sugar, Dan.
Yeah. See, that'll get you.
It all comes full circle.
All right, I think that's gonna do it. Dan, it was so good to see you again. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
for
you
having
so
me.
much. It's always fun.
Always a
Um,
good time with you all.
Where can everybody find you?
You can find me doing Pantheon every single day, so you don't got to go to LFG. That's at
Yeah.
EpicDan22 on the Twitch.
EpicDan22. Go drop a follow. Turn on notifications so you know when he's live.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I kept saying 88. I apologize for
You
that.
No. It's
just
part of
adding
the-
some
part of the-
numbers.
That's adding numbers.
All right, guys. Thanks you all for joining us. We'll be back next week for more Destiny and other video game talk. Have a wonderful and safe weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Goodbye.